This sentence reaffirms the NPA's unwavering commitment to protecting the vulnerable members of our society.
And finally, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has condemned the violence that he says a handful of extremists have committed on Israeli settlers in the occupied West Bank. Homes and vehicles were torched and vandalized in a Palestinian village yesterday. The BBC's John Donaldson has more.
Video shows the masked youths storming Al Jabba village with batons and throwing stones. The United Nations recently said the number of such attacks on Palestinians is at its highest level for 20 years since it began collecting data. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the rioters would be prosecuted, but Palestinians accuse his government of letting the settlers act with impunity.
Recapping the top story, Northwest businessman and police minister Senzo Kunu's alleged associate Raul Mokhotsi is set to appear before the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria this morning. For SFM News, I am Anne Musa.
It's a very good morning to you. In your SFM sports headlines, cricket, the Proteas coach Shukri Conrad insisting the job is not done as South Africa aim to close out their test series against India. And in rugby, the Springboks said they'll be fully loaded for Dublin as Rassie Erasmus prepares his side for showdown against Ireland. The details just before 6:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Gauteng Highways looking okay at this stage. Pretoria to the airport clear. There may be some mist though around sort of Tembisa, Kempton Park area, so drive carefully if it's misty when you arrive. N1 South, no obstructions. Pretoria to Beclew, you get there in good time this morning. And even that run up Mike 1 up through Central Joburg coming in from Boyson is looking all right as well. There is a stationary truck just south of Hilton on your way down to Town Hill, so watch your truck is moving out of that lane across into the central sort of carriageway there. That is Peter Maritzburg bound. A little bit of traffic around Cliffdale, Key Ridge, but nothing too desperate at this stage. And Cape Town just starting to build up in the usual places. N1 from Belleville, N2 from Khayelitsha, and some delays this morning through Mufuleni, the old Fora Road between Muway and Spine Road, looking very busy already. And that sand at Baden Powell, Monwabisi, still there. Just go very carefully and easy through that sand. It can be quite thick. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
It's just gone 8 minutes after 6. Today is Tuesday, the 18th of November, 2025. You're listening to SAFM. We are on 104 to 107 nationwide. Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday edition of The Morning Brief. The world you're waking up to this morning is significantly different from what it was when you went to bed last night. And that's because key news and current affairs developments have continued to shape, carve, and contour your world with every passing minute. And that's why we get here bright and early to fully brief you on those developments as you start your day. Among some of what we will tell you over the next 3 hours, South Africa and indeed Gauteng goes into full G20 mode as a ring of steel goes up along key corridors in cities like Johannesburg, Tshwane, and Ekurhuleni, with security and policing heightened ahead of the Leaders Summit, which is happening this weekend. If you live, work, or commute in the city region, prepare for a fair amount of disruption and inconvenience, albeit temporarily. So here are some of the examples. The Airports Company of South Africa announcing several temporary road closures around OR Tambo International Airport starting from today. Although no flight delays or operational disruptions are expected, traffic in and around the airport will be significantly heavier than usual. Beyond the airport precinct, though, Johannesburg, Tshwane, and Ekurhuleni are likely going to experience widespread road closures and intermittent disruptions as police and traffic authorities prepare for the summit. Examples: major highways including the N1, N3, N12, M1, R21, and R24, along with high traffic in suburban nodes like Sandton, Rosebank, Fourways, and Melrose Arc will face periodic restrictions to allow VIP convoys to move in those areas. And lastly, another example within the Nasrec precinct in the south of Johannesburg, full closures of key roads are expected. Roads such as Golden Highway, Nasrec roads, and Boyson's Reserve Road. So a lot of activity in and around the cities of Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni, and Tshwane over the next few days. So we'll unpack all of those details and the logistics of preparing for the G20 Leaders Summit. We'll be speaking to Dr. Mgcini Jwaku, who is a member of the mayoral committee responsible for public safety in the city of Johannesburg. And then we'll take a provincial view and speak to the spokesperson of the Gauteng government, Elijah Mhlanga. All of that coming up in the first half hour of the second hour of the show, so just after 7 a.m. Speaking of roads, then, as heavy rains sweep across many parts of the country, the spotlight once again falls on one of the country's most overlooked yet critical pieces of infrastructure: our stormwater drainage systems. These networks are meant to channel stormwater safely away from homes and roads, but are often poorly maintained, inadequate, or in some communities barely exist at all. The consequences are devastating: flooded neighborhoods, washed away roads, damage to homes, and in the worst cases, lives lost. So we'll be unpacking why maintaining the country's stormwater drainage system is more important than ever. It turns out there's a whole science to it all. Well, not that it turns out. We always knew there was a whole science to it all, but it's just a fascinating science. I guess that's the turns out part of it, because, not being a practitioner in the area, when you start to learn about the science that goes into maintaining these stormwater drainage systems and how that is evolving and how there are new systems that could actually solve a lot of our problems, it does make for fascinating reading. So I'll be speaking to Gundo Maswime, a lecturer in the Department of Civil Engineering at the University of Cape Town, and that conversation coming up at about 7:15 this morning. Working to earn just enough money to afford transport fare to get to work. It's called transport poverty, and a new report suggests that it's particularly pronounced in Gauteng. Transport costs for low-income households in Johannesburg are said to have reached a breaking point, with new research showing that many residents, especially those living far from the city's economic hubs, are spending nearly half their income just to commute. It's a new Gauteng City Region Observatory, GCRO, report that reveals that Johannesburg's poorest residents are paying disproportionately high transport costs, driven by long distances to job centers and limited public transport integration. So let me give you just examples of what I'm talking about. Government policy suggests that households should spend no more than 10% of their income on transport. But many township and peripheral area residents, including people who live in areas like Orange Farm, Diepsloot, Ivory Park, and parts of Soweto, spend anything between 40% and 50% of their income on transport. So that just gives you a sense of how that is playing itself out. The global norms are 10% to 15% of income spent on transport. So when you're spending between 40 and 50%, you are spending significantly far much more. We'll have a conversation with Mandi Sandlovu, in our city reporter, who's been looking into all of those, into that report, and that conversation coming up at about 9:15 this morning. The full team is ready, able and willing to serve up your regular updates throughout the morning, and Musa is at the news desk. Rob Byrne has got your traffic covered. Zaikan with all things sport, Melissa Buta with the morning brief in brief, and that's coming up in the next few minutes. Dauleng Lechela, always right on the money with your economic updates as well as business and the markets. And of course, as always, Raz Mu-Africa, Sipho Mantula, with an overview of developments across the continent and her diaspora. And that's coming up in the Africa Update at about 20 to 7 this morning. Through it all, let's continue to have the conversation. The number to dial 086 000 2032. You can also reach me by sending a WhatsApp voice note to 0614 104 107. Let's get into it. The first hour of the Tuesday edition of the Morning Brief.
Summer's here, and with FlySafair now flying between Lanseria, East London and PE from just 770 Rand, you can make any of these 3 holiday hotspots your go-to this festive season. From sun-soaked beaches to buzzing city breaks, FlySafair has you all set for the holidays, wherever the adventure takes you. So pack your sunnies, pick your playground, and fly into summer. Book now at flysafair.co.za. FlySafair, for the life of flying. T's and C's apply.
The Green Eagles believe nothing will stop them from flying high with 3 points on Egyptian soil. However, the Glamour Boys want to wrap up the weekend with a special message for their fans. This is the Group D first leg contest of the CAF Confederation Cup. Catch Al Masri SC versus Kaizer Chiefs FC this Sunday, 23 November at 8 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
Big stories of the day. Hashtag the morning brief.
All right, to kick us off this morning, as always, Melissa Puta, live and direct from the studio. Good morning to you, Melissa.
Morning, Thulasizwe.
Let's start with news. You chuckled because you know. Miss.
It happens every
But
now and again.
It's a rare occurrence. Tell me about this inquiry into the fitness or otherwise to hold office of the Director of Public Prosecutions in Gauteng, the Southern region.
So the inquiry into the suspended DPP advocate Andrew Chauke began yesterday, examining allegations that he protected politically connected individuals and mishandled high-profile cases, causing costly litigation and reputational damage to the NPA. Chaired by retired Judge Bess Nkabinde, the 4-month inquiry will hear from National Director Advocate Shamila Batoy, whose recommendation led to Chauke's suspension. The inquiry focuses on Chauke's handling of racketeering charges against Major General Johan Boyson and his alleged failure to prosecute former crime intelligence head Lieutenant General Richard Mdluli, which denied justice to his victims. Proceedings continue with Chauke's opening remarks and Batoy's testimony, so that will be interesting to watch and see.
On the 6th of July, we heard from a member, shall we call it loosely, a member of the country's armed forces at a high level in the sense of civilian armed forces, the police, General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Now we're hearing from another member of the armed forces in the military sense, and it's along the same vein, isn't it?
Yes, very similar situations. Vice Admiral Monde Lobisi, chief of the South African Navy, warned that proposed reductions to the South African National Defence Force workforce could severely be compromise national security. Speaking at the Navy's prestige charity ball, Lobisi described the Defence Force as underfunded, under-resourced, and hampered by bureaucratic mind games that prioritize plans over practical support. He highlighted the Navy's prolonged absence at sea, leaving South African waters vulnerable to drug cartels, human traffickers, and illegal traders, and suggested budget cuts could be influenced by criminal networks. Reflecting on his experience as a young freedom fighter, he contrasted past well-resourced liberation forces with today's struggling SANDF. Lubisi called for urgent political will to restore funding, arguing that continued cuts would weaken sovereignty, deference, and international credibility, and urged citizens to advocate for stronger, well-funded defense forces.
Yeah, there's that thing that people like to say, oh, why do we need this? We are not at war. But yeah, I mean, think about the Navy, the work that they do, and the whole, scourge of piracy in the high seas, and all of that, just the deterrent value of investing. We're not saying splurge on defense, but, defend yourself to a certain extent. Anyway, you go with the innocuous descriptor of businessman. I choose alleged political influence peddler, whatever you call him. All eyes are on Brown Mokhotsi today.
I mean, he's a man of many titles, clearly. Businessman Brown Mokhotsi will testify before the Madlanga Commission about alleged political interference in the SAPS. He is accused of acting as a link between suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu and alleged crime boss Vusmuzi Kat Matlala, including soliciting 500,000 for the ANC travel in exchange for police intelligence. Both Mchunu and the ANC deny close ties to him. SAPS has launched criminal probes and raided his business, while a recent shooting involving Mukhozi is suspected by some to have been staged. So it will be interesting. This is a day that many have looked forward to, and it will be interesting to see what comes out today.
Indeed. I think many people will be glued to their screens throughout the day today. Melissa, thank you for that. Melissa Puta with the morning brief in brief.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
All right, on the weather front, here's how it's looking. There's one impact-based warning. It is a yellow level 2 warning. It says severe thunderstorms leading to localized damage to infrastructure, settlements, informal settlements, property, vehicles, livelihood, and localized short-term disruption to municipal and other essential services. So that's the warning. No specific region specified by the Weather Service. The rest of your weather looks like this. Pretoria, cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers with a minimum of 14 and a maximum of 22. Johannesburg will have morning fog patches, otherwise cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 12 to 20. Vereeniging, morning fog patches, otherwise cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 11 to 20. Bombela will have morning fog patches, otherwise partly cloudy with isolated showers and rain, 13 to 24. Polokwane will be cloudy in the morning, becoming partly cloudy with isolated afternoon showers and rain, 12 to 22. Mahikeng will have morning fog patches, otherwise partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 13 to 24. Bloemfontein will be partly cloudy, windy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 13 to 26. Kimberley, partly cloudy, windy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 15 to 31. Uppington, partly cloudy and windy, 19 to 33. Cape Town will be fine, 18 to 28. George, partly cloudy, 12 to 23. Gqeberha, partly cloudy, becoming cloudy with isolated showers and rain in the evening with a minimum of 15 and a maximum of 23. East London, partly cloudy, 14 to 24. Durban will be cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 16 to 24. Richards Bay will be cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 15 to 26. And lastly, Pietermaritzburg will have morning fog patches, otherwise partly cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, 11 to 24.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and a whole country affected by gender-based violence. All on your favorite SABC radio station. Call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Part of your work is challenging leaders to rethink or perhaps have a different view of what wellness in the workplace looks like.
As practitioners in the wellness workplace environment, we realize that maybe just focus on wellness when we started acknowledging it as a necessity, focused on the individual. Let's go and do a wellness day. Let's go and take people to spas and that. And the focus was like it's an HR thing that's like a little pimple on the face. So this conversation is requiring of us, all leaders in all stages in our environment where we work, to actually be well, to lead.
Dr. Mutaman Diaho.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Worldview Update, bringing you closer to international or global news.
24 minutes after 6. Will India hand over Sheikh Hasina to face a death sentence back home in Bangladesh, or will Delhi decide the charges are simply too political to justify extradition? Bangladesh's former prime minister has been convicted and sentenced to death in absentia after a domestic war crimes tribunal found her responsible for incitement, killings, and failing to stop atrocities during last year's brutal crackdown on student-led protests. That unrest, which began over job quota frustrations and spiraled into a nationwide revolt, left more than 1,400 people dead, thousands detained, and triggered the same wave of repression, now at the heart of the charges and the conviction. Let's speak to Cynthia Farid, research associate with the Center for Asian Studies in Africa at the University of Pretoria. Good morning to you, and thank you for your time. I suppose it really escalated quite quickly from a trial in absentia to where we are today. Tell us what the implications are for this verdict and this sentencing of Sheikh Hasina to death.
Thank you. I think the starting point really has to be the victims of the uprising. So this trial is a big deal for many of the victims and their families, right? It's the first major public acknowledgement that the state had used excessive force, and that those decisions had catastrophic human consequences. But at the same time, the verdict is raising extremely serious questions because Sheikh Hasina was, as you said, sentenced to death in a trial held entirely in absentia, right? She had no physical presence before the court. She refused state appointed counsel. Many people, including a lot of legal scholars, are uneasy about the fairness and transparency of the process. The UN, Amnesty International, these are major human rights bodies that have opposed the death penalty in all circumstances. And in the past, Bangladesh has been urged for decades now to move away from capital punishment. So whatever one thinks of Hasina's political legacy, sentencing a former head of government to death, especially in absentia, right, puts Bangladesh at odds with global human rights standards. And then the question of the tribunal itself, right? The verdict is coming from an international crimes tribunal that was originally set up to address atrocities of the liberation war in 1971. But then its mandate had switched and it was amended to try the former prime minister. So we have two things happening at once, right? On the one hand, you have real victims that are seeing some form of accountability for the first time, but on the other hand, the process feels highly politicized. And the severity of the sentence is currently deepening mistrust, right? Because that party still holds supporters in the country.
Sorry, Cynthia, I don't know. Do we still have you?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I'm still
Okay.
here.
So part of what you mentioned, though, the questions about the tribunal itself and the trial happening in absentia, reflects also what Sheikh Hasina herself has said in rejecting the outcomes and saying that she's not afraid to face her accusers in a proper tribunal where the evidence can be weighed and tested fairly. Let's talk about the evidence. It doesn't help her case, whichever tribunal this serves before, it doesn't help her case that much of the killings and atrocities that she was charged with are based on findings of international bodies, including the UN.
That's right. But the specific evidence also needs to be weighed in terms of, I think there are several recordings of her handing out orders of shoot at sight. There's fairly strong evidence against her, but at the same time, procedurally, if the trial is under question, then this trial can very easily be politicized, given that we are in a moment of transition, right? So her party and her supporters, this becomes framed as a kind of grievance of due process, that they were not treated in accordance to law. And then that issue will become politicized in trying to either evade a return. And now, given that she's been handed out the capital punishment, it might be easier for her to seek asylum elsewhere in the unlikely event that India decides to part with her.
And how has the political landscape altered altogether following those protests? She had been in power for 15 years, and the Awami League was the governing party, but that's since been banned, hasn't it?
It has been banned, and I think that banning parties generally does not produce great results. Fixing divisions, that party still has supporters in the country, and there is no conversation. You know, I mean, your audience in South Africa would know about transitions and reconciliation. In some ways, these processes are not perfect. But if you politicize divisions even more, particularly through this trial, there is no conversation on the table, right? So politics has to move on from this particular moment. And right now, it's creating volatility. Yesterday, protesters tried and attacked Sheikh Hasina's family home, which had been demolished, partially demolished last year. And then it was attacked, and there were clashes between protesters and law enforcement, where people are trying to bulldoze that home.
All right.
So you can see, like, the political division still exists.
All right, let's leave it there for this morning. Thank you for your time and your insights. That's Cynthia Farid, Research Associate with the Center for Asian Studies in Africa at the University of Pretoria. Let's go to Ann Musa, who's on standby with the latest news headlines.
Thanks, Thulas. Good morning. In the headlines, National Director of Public Prosecutions, Shamila Butwe, will be the first witness to testify before the Cabinet inquiry, which will start in Pretoria today. Northwest businessman and police minister Senzo Mkunu's alleged associate Brown Mogotsi is set to appear before the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria this morning. And the Nigerian government says it's trying to rescue 25 students abducted from a girls' boarding school in the northwest of the country. I'll have details on these and other stories at 7.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
A very good morning, Joburg. First up, extra delays today on the N3 heading north. A crash before the roadwork, so the collision scene between Marlborough Drive and the Clue interchange. Quite a heavy backlog already as you line up passing Alex into that one. Also a lot of mist around that side of Joburg as well. N3, R24, R21, misty conditions to contend with. Drive carefully, please. Also a big delay coming down to Durban now. There's been a crash at Cliffdale, well, between Cliffdale and Key Ridge, probably closer to Cliffdale if you're on your way from Hammersdale down towards Durban. There's some heavy traffic that's building up into that collision scene today. Cape Town, very heavy both sides of the N2 at Khayelitsha. Mfuleni Old Fora Road at Muway's heavy. The other side, Govan and Becky and Muway, all jammed up as well. N2 into town looks busy, queuing traffic from the airport through to Jan Smuts Drive. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning to you, Zai. So the coach, the boss, approves of Themba Bavuma's leadership, yeah?
Oh, yeah. If leadership had a batting average, Themba Bavuma will be world class. That's what he's been hailed as. Proteas coach Shukri Conrad highlighting the influence of Captain Bavuma, who extended his unbeaten record as Test skipper with South Africa's recent victory over India.
I said it 2 days before the Test match. Having our best player back is very reassuring for us. It brings a calmness. I also might have mentioned that in the last 18 months to 24 months, he's been one of the best players in the world, and he showed that again. An innings that he was clear on how he wanted to do it, went against the grain of everybody else in the match. Yeah, and that was the difference between the two sides, Themba's innings.
Onto Rugby Ireland have received a major boost ahead of Saturday's blockbuster test against South Africa. Gary Ringrose and Josh van der Fly are fit after recovering from hamstring injuries. Stuart McCloskey missing out with a groin strain, while Bandi Aki is expected to fill the midfield gap. Prop Thomas Clarkson has also been cleared, and the Springboks arriving in Dublin unbeaten on their November tour, beating Japan, France and Italy, the last two with just 14 men. Onto soccer, and Nigeria's coach has accused DR Congo of practicing voodoo after his team's
Wait, what?
2026.
Okay.
In this day and age, yes, we are talking about voodoo, saying that Nigeria's World Cup hopes collapsed Due to that, in the African playoff final, the match ended 1-1 after extra time in Rabat before DR Congo won 4-3 on penalties to advance to March's Interconfed Cup playoffs in Mexico. Elsewhere, Scotland will face Denmark tonight in what coach Steve Clarke calls the cup final we all wanted. A win secures Scotland's first World Cup qualifications since 1998. And finally, boxing YouTube star Jake Paul will fight former heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua in Miami on the 19th of December. Paul, now 12-1, stunned the world last year when he beat Mike Tyson in Texas. That's your sport. We'll be back in the boxing ring. More sport, top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
The business update on SAFM.
All right. Who knows? Maybe there's voodoo even in. Darling, good morning. I don't know if you have. Oh my gosh. All right. Tell me about retail buying slowing down in the US. I hope there's no voodoo involved in that too.
No voodoo at all. My stories aren't as interesting as us retail investors like you and me have, become a critical driver of U.S. Market momentum over past few years, especially as their post-pandemic surge trading helped fuel rebounds after every major dip. Their steady buying has acted as a shock absorber during periods of volatility, often stepping in when institutions turned cautious. Because of that shift in their behavior, now matter far more than they used to. And recent data shows a clear cooling in retail buying. Data from Vander Research and Bank of America Securities shows individuals are no longer stepping in aggressively on down days. Instead of piling into single stocks, many shifting towards broad ETFs in September, classic defensive moves. And in the past week, even those ETF inflows have slowed. The analysts say the slowdown doesn't yet indicate a mass rotation out of equities, but it does show retail investors being more aggressive. This caution, the market may feel it harder to stage rebounds given how crucial retail demand has been in supporting rallies throughout 2025. Seems like we are starting to see a bit of a rotation outside of US equities. Many are piling into European as well as local assets.
Yeah. Let's talk about the retail property space. Tell me about Fourways
Yeah.
Mall and the restructuring that's happening. You're saying that there's a turnaround plan and the creditors have backed it.
Yeah, so Forward more appears re-entering a more stable phase of the year's market. Empty shop fronts, design missteps, and financial pressure on one of its major co-owners. The latest step in its recovery is the redevelopment Cedar Road side of the center, where a new zone called the View is scheduled to open early next year. This area will focus on specialty retail and a stronger mix of food offerings with Food Lovers Market, Seattle Coffee Company, and Pet World remaining as anchors during the upgrade. The management is also using the formerly occupied by Westpac Lifestyle introduce niche retailers such as specialist grocery, bakery, and liquor operators. A big part of the plan is a new restaurant strip with outdoor seating amid aimed rather at addressing the limited dining options in the border wasteland. Inside the mall, the bank area has also been redesigned. The co-working component to draw more daytime activities. And these projects are being funded to accelerate property funds capital raises. And these raises have been done over the past 2 years.
All right, recap for us how we closed yesterday and how we're starting the day today.
So a downbeat start to the week, with US markets posting their worst day in a month with no signs that sell-off stopping. Dow Jones took the biggest knock, trading over 1% in trade overnight. Sour mood has also fueled, or rather, the sour mood has been fueled by concerns over the delayed economic data and what it could reveal about the health of the US economy. That also trickled down to local markets with the JSE closing mixed, domestic developments ensuring some gains, but trade overall choppy. With that, the old trade closed 0.3% higher. The rand really losing steam this morning as risk appetite wanes. It's sitting at 17.22 to the dollar from about 17.10 yesterday morning. Oil remains steady, trading just below $64 per barrel this hour. Lastly, in Asia, it's a sea of red amid ongoing concerns about the market valuation, especially among tech shares, and the diminishing prospect of an interest rate cut by the Fed next month, that really dampening overall global sentiment.
All right, thank you for that, Ndauling. We'll talk to you in the second hour of the show, just after 7:30.
Africa Update on SAFM.
And for that, we turn to Advocate Sipho Mantula. Raz, good morning. Let's start in Danko Wasago State in Nigeria. This phenomenon, this troubling phenomenon of abduction of children, especially girls from schools, continues. All right, hold on for me a second, Sipho. Yeah, we've got you now.
Refreshing morning to us and Jumbo Africa to the listeners. To us, this is the latest abduction or the kidnapping of the 25 school girls and the killing of their principal yesterday in the Dango Wasagu estate, the school called the Government Girls Comprehensive Secondary School. To us, you remember the latest, if you look at the history of that country, Kiboko, in 20, you'll recall that 276 girls were abducted. Not so long ago in 2024, in the state of Kaduna, that 106 children were rescued after spending more than 2 weeks being abducted. Now, all in all, when you look at the numbers, more than 1,500 students have been kidnapped by this armed group. So one can look at the issue of, are this abduction linked to ransom of extortion, or also the issue of the control areas where there is mining? So this is the challenge that Nigeria it is facing. With this latest one, the reports are indicating that the abductors were using sophisticated weapons. Hence, the 25 young girls were abducted in the early hours of the morning. They are doing that. This is very sad when you look at the issue of young girls that country being abducted, also to become involved in some of the conflicts, that sometimes also being sexually harassed. And these are the challenges that we are facing in West Africa, in the area or the state of Congo, Wasagu.
Sipho, the United Kingdom, do I have your story right? This next story. Basically, UK faces a problem of people who arrive in the UK and then claim asylum or violate their migration status, and the countries from which they come not cooperating in their deportation, and they want to do something about that situation now.
No, correctly, Tulas, and that's hitting on the SADC region, because the countries mentioned here have been given a month to improve their what you call immigration processes, because they are now the government of Britain, their Home Secretary saying that they will block all tourist and VIP visas. This comes to Angola, Namibia, and the DRC. And hence I say it's affecting the SADC region. And this also is the issue of migrants who are using the small boats going through France. Now, the issue of this anti-immigration reform, it has been used by most of the political parties in UK. And you'll understand that's why when you find the issue of asylum seekers, most of the member states, they don't respect that. That even if their nationals come to other foreign countries, you still have to comply with the basic immigration documents. And that's where we are finding this matter. And it seems that UK is also looking at the European Convention on Human Rights in terms of dealing with deportations. So they are using those laws to say Angolans, Namibians, and Congolese who are living there they should think twice in terms of going back home, because their governments are not cooperating as well.
And it's been almost a month since Michael Randrianirina took over in Antananarivo.
That's quite true, Tulas. He had the first national address, and just still speaking to us that this was not a coup. There was no violence that occurred. It feels that it was a military rearrangement, or what you call the military coup of the. I don't know. It's a military rearrangement of power, Tulas, what we see in the Sahel. But in the island of Madagascar, what has happened is that he's promising to us that he will have the youth assembly. He will emphasize on the Malagasy language and culture, but he has urged for patience, reminding them that this cannot be done in 2 months. He has asked members to last for 24 months. He wants to be acting president for 2 years. And that's where, when he was talking there, he has come out very clear that Madagascar will become a very clear island, despite that they have reneged their citizenship of SADC. But what is interesting is for him to reject what has happened in terms of the change of guard by saying that that's a military revolution inspired by the generation mother of the youth, and that's why he will focus on the basic socio-economic needs of the people in the island.
A coup by any other name. Lastly, Sipho, in your historical archives, 18 November 1993, a pivotal moment in our journey towards constitutional democracy.
Absolutely, Thulas. You can say that 32 years it was the multi-party convention for the democratic South Africa, CODESA, that endorses the interim constitution, which actually laid foundation to the agreement of national unity. And when you look at that document, that is very important. I was looking at that because it based that to the interim constitution of 1993, but also it paved way for 1990 elections. So when you look at that constitution, the post-symbol to that, we have missed some of those in our final constitution of 1992, and I think we need to go back to those things. So issue of national unity and reconciliation. The concept of Ubuntu that was in that constitution was removed to the final constitution. The link that was important as 2025 the year of reparations. It was in the post-symbol to us and talk. There's a need for reparation, but not for retaliation. And that's where I link that issue of the need for Ubuntu, but not for victimization. So that is a post-symbol. But the missing point, your coach, your traditional leaders was chapter 11 in the interim constitution, very long one, but the chapter 12 reduced it to that if you look into. And finally, on my assessment of that interim with the intelligence services and the Inspector General of Intelligence were missing. So I asked myself, why rush? I don't blame them to that. Between May and November 1993, finalized the interim constitution that led to the final adoption in 1990. So it's very important when we have to contextualize the interim constitutional calendar, where it is and where we are. The chapter 9 were chapter 8 during that time. There were only 4 of them at that time. So there's a drastic change to look at our constitution, which will be turning in 2020. Because you recall, it was adopted in 1990, but we'll look into it in 2020. Leading the conversation.
Sipho, thank you for that. That's Sipho Mandula with your Africa update for this morning.
At school, I was falling behind. They thought I wasn't trying, bruh. Truth is, I couldn't see well, and I felt as small as the words on the board. And then, teacher came to sit with me and realized I needed glasses. Bruh, now everything's changed.
Take time to listen. With enough love and support, children don't just catch up, they thrive.
Visit holdmyhand.org.za.
Together, we can change their future.
Congratulations to the lucky Powerball Plus jackpot winner who won over 6 million rand on Friday after playing at a retailer in Lone Hill, Gauteng. Play Powerball and Powerball Plus for 44 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday, and you could win big. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda, Pusha, Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
A very good morning. It's a heavy one on Joburg's N3 North. Not only the roadworks, but before you get into that, there's been a crash just north of Marlborough Drive this morning. Traffic very quickly parked all the way back in a heavy mess right through to Linksfield Road in Edenvale. Once that traffic is released from that crash, it'll just go straight into the roadworks. So the N3 expected to be heavy for some time this morning. The N1, the busy, heavy, high volume N1, queuing from the Potch Highway up through Eldos and Devlin and through Deepcliff Interchange. Some very heavy. You know how bad it can be? Well, yeah, it's one of those mornings today. Crash on the mighty Mopani Highway between Rossin Road and the N4 if you're leaving Shoshanguve. There's a big delay there. Northbound also being held up going to Shoshanguve. So gives you an idea of just how significant and serious that crash scene is. Also a collision at Cliffdale Key Ridge on your way to Durban. If you're leaving Pietermaritzburg, it's very slow just south of the Nchanga Hammersdale exit. You'll get into a backlog of traffic. Breakdown going into Pietermaritzburg between Ashburn and Market Road. That's heavy. And a breakdown before Market Road coming off the Pietermaritzburg bypass. So that's quite slow as well. Cape Town exiting Tableview. No traffic lights this morning. Below Berg Road at Kuberg Road. That's already quite heavy. Baden-Powell Drive heading up towards the N2. That is very slow going. And a crash at Khayelitsha on Muway Old Fora Road. A lot of traffic jamming up in that Mfuleni area. And then south of the N2, Muway going north up towards the highway, up towards Govan and Becky Road. A lot of traffic pressure around that side of Khayelitsha as well. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Summer's here, and with FlySafair now flying between Lanseria, East London and PE from just 770 Rand, you can make any of these 3 holiday hotspots your go-to this festive season. From sun-soaked beaches to buzzing city breaks, FlySafair has you all set for the holidays, wherever the adventure takes you. So pack your sunnies, pick your playground, and fly into summer. Book now at flysafair.co.za. FlySafair, for the life of flying. T's and C's apply.
Usultu does not mind visitors, provided 3 points remain in KZN. However, Simelane refused to travel to Durban as tourists. They want nothing but victory.
This is the Midweek Premiership. Isekazini forever.
Amazulu FC versus Simelane FC on Saturday, 22 November at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Then on SABC radio stations at 3:30 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
All right, let's go to this story. You know, we're a couple of days away from the G20 Leaders Summit happening here in Johannesburg, in Gauteng. And as you know by now, the United States is not taking part in that. But a bit of reporting coming in over the last few hours that suggests that the United States, despite not attending, is demanding that the Leaders Summit should not adopt a declaration at the end. The US is, of course, the next president of the G20. And there's that awkwardness about how to hand over to the next president when the next president is not participating at the current summit. Let's speak to Dr. Kingsley Makubele, risk analyst and also a former diplomat, a regular commentator on these issues on our show. Good morning to you, and thank you for your time. So this is a bit of a strange one, isn't it? The country that is supposed to take over the presidency is not present at the summit to take over, but it has demands.
Good morning, Thulasizwe. You know, all members of the G20 have the same rights. And the unfortunate part is that the G20 decisions are taken on the basis of consensus. The United States has made it quite clearly sometimes in February when ministers of finance were meeting. That's why the declaration on finance was not adopted. We've seen in the last 2 weeks the declaration on health was not adopted by health minister. What the United States is likely to do, and I think it will continue to do, is to exercise its right within the G20 to oppose whatever South Africa is trying to do.
So just the difficulty, Kingsley, of handing over. I saw President Ramaphosa a couple of days ago making the point that we will hand over to the empty chair. There will be a handover. We have to hand over. But what are the implications? G20 works largely on consensus and continuity. The last 4 have been presidencies of the global south, and now that shifts. What are the implications?
You know, there won't be any, I don't think there will be empty chair. The Americans understand power, and power is to be there. They will probably send a junior person, even a staff from the embassy, to go and sit on that chair, and that staff member would have same equal rights as heads of state. They would oppose any paragraph. Remember, there's been negotiation between different work streams. They now culminate in developing a document that must be adopted by the leaders, which is called the Leaders' Communique. That person will then be able to say, well, we don't agree with this paragraph, we don't agree with this paragraph. We want it replaced with this. And if you don't replace with this, we don't support that. And they would come up with the most difficult thing to replace whatever has been agreed on. And that would be the result, actually, of picking out the thing, because till the last minute, the United States would send somebody to participate. Till the last minute, you won't have a consensus document. If you don't have that, it doesn't mean the end of the conference, Thulasizwe. It means the host country can issue out a statement, which will be unprecedented. During the G20 in India, there was a sticky issue around the Russia-Ukraine conflict, which really threatened to derail the entire conflict until a compromise was struck and the leader's statement went through. In this case, there's no specific opposition to a particular language. It's the fact that the United States doesn't feel that South Africa should have been the host, doesn't feel that South Africa should be in the G20. That's where the predicament of the United States is. Are you likely to see members of the G7 really opposed to the United States here? You are unlikely to do that because they have position they've taken in the G7. It's a division of the alliance that they have within the G7. And they would migrate that, particularly on the issues of finance, the rescheduling of the debt and so on, cancellation of the debt, if you want to say so, and the financing of the clean energy. Those are issues that within the G20, they have the G7, I beg your pardon, they have a position, and you're unlikely to see them reneging on that.
So let's talk about who's attending and who's missing this G20, Dr. Makubele. We know now that, the US is not here. The Argentine president, no surprises there. Javier Milei, no surprises there, given his allegiance to Donald Trump. And we also have the Chinese president also not attending, Xi Jinping, and the Mexican president. But on the flip side of it, we see the German chancellor confirming rather emphatically, even using Sesotho to confirm that we look forward to engaging with you. Does this matter? Is it unusual that leaders will not necessarily attend themselves, but in many instances send a vice president, a prime minister, a minister of foreign affairs to these meetings?
The attendance in the past has been very high. You've seen one or two, maybe head of state or head of government who could not attend. In this case, it's totally unprecedented. The number is getting much bigger. Whatever reason, the Russians are not coming for whatever reason. And it appears that Lavrov won't come, which is again a downgrade within. You are likely not to see a Lula da Silva coming here, the president of Brazil, because he's hosting COP30. And the question now, the tension that exists between Pakistan and India, at the last minute, you may see the Prime Minister Modi not coming because of the tensions back home. So there are different dynamics that are taking place, not necessarily related to the boycott by the US, except by President Milei, who his nickname is El the Mad One. He may not come. So there are those dynamics, and the issue is that the summit, Thulasizwe, it's a meeting of heads of state. The summit, it's a dead breaking mechanism. It allows heads of state actually to interface collegially with each other and be able to unlock whatever deadlock is there within the agreement. But in the absence of that, you're likely to see to and fro messages flying to capitals and so on. They may have a full mandate to negotiate, but if something arises that was not agreed between the head of the delegation who's here and the head of state who's back home, they will need to consult. So that's where the challenge is.
Mm. And how easy or how difficult will it be to arrive at a final declaration? There have been instances, you will recall better than I can do, instances where there wasn't a meeting of minds necessarily among all the G20 members around the language and phrasing of the final declaration?
They've always found eventually a compromise language. In Brazil, the Brazilian wanted to bring in the element of taxing the wealthy and increase the tax to be able to fund certain projects that the Brazilian had. That was not accepted. Eventually, it was abandoned. In Indonesia, there were questions that arose too, and eventually there was a compromise. This is the only instance where there's no specific area of dispute that requires like-minded countries to reach a compromise on those issues. It's a question of the United States feeling that they are not part of it. And the United States yields too much power. They are the next host, and countries are unlikely to offend the next host. They're unlikely to go against the United States. You can't have a declaration if one member state does not agree with it. That's why there's a provision that where there's not a common consensus, you can have the host country making a pronouncement around a statement around what has been achieved, what hasn't been achieved, where is the sticking point,
Yeah.
and leave it there.
All right, I've got to thank you for your time and your insights. Always fascinating conversations with Dr. Kingsley Makubele, a risk analyst and former diplomat, weighing in on the G20 with a couple of days really before the Leaders Summit takes place. Let's go to N Musa on standby with the latest news.
Outsurance is in the business of saving you money on your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
In our top stories, inquiry into suspended Director of Public Prosecutions Andrew Chauke's fitness to hold office, and 25 schoolgirls abducted in northwestern Nigeria. Good morning. National Director of Public Prosecution Shamila Batoy will be the first witness to testify before the Nkabinde inquiry, which started in Pretoria yesterday. The inquiry is looking into the South Gauteng Director of Public Prosecutions, Advocate Andrew Chauke's fitness to hold office. President Cyril Ramaphosa suspended him in July following allegations of misconduct and political interference in high-profile cases. These include failure to pursue charges against former police crime intelligence boss Richard Mhluli. Chief Evidence Leader Advocate David Mhlamoniane.
The establishment of a present inquiry arises from recommendation by the National Director of the Prosecutors of the NDPP, Advocate Shamila Batohi. Advocate Batohi has submitted an affidavit and will be the first witness called to testify in this inquiry. Outlined in her affidavit the circumstances led to the recommendation.
Northwest businessman and police minister Senzo Mkunu's alleged associate Brown Mogotsi is set to appear before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria this morning. Mogotsi's testimony will mark the commission's second phase. The commission is investigating allegations of criminality, political interference, and corruption in the country's justice system. Several witnesses have implicated Mogotsi in wrongdoing, as well as having links with Mkunu and crime suspect Vuzimuzi Kat Matlala. Sibatle Mota reports.
Mogotsi, who has been implicated in the Madlanga Commission, is expected to spend 2 days testifying. He is expected to answer questions about his alleged relationship with Mkunu and attempted murder accused Kat Matlala. Earlier this month, Mogotsi survived an alleged assassination attempt in Vosloorus, Gauteng. He claims that he was ambushed by unknown assassins. While news of his assassination attempt drew concerns, the commission has assured him that his safety will be prioritized.
The state in the Senzo Mihiwa murder trial is expected to poke holes in the testimony of defense witness Absalom Zungu. He has been testifying in the High Court in Pretoria, where 5 men are on trial for the killing of Mihiwa in October of 2014. Zungu allegedly gave the investigating team a breakthrough in the case when he implicated Muzi Sibiya and Bongani Ntanzi in the killing. Yesterday, State Prosecutor George Baloyi questioned if Zungu was really aggrieved after hearing Brigadier Gininda's testimony in 2023.
Brigadier Gininda testified for the first time in this court around the 27th of November 2023 and referred to your name during his testimony. However, the statement that you made at Newcastle Police Station is only dated 8 July 2025. If you were so aggrieved as you have mentioned, why did you wait this long?
What was I supposed to do?
A police digital forensic specialist and state witness, Brigadier Janine Steinberg, is expected to be cross-examined in the High Court in Durban today. The focus will be on her analysis of the Thulasizwe Member of Parliament, Duduzile Zuma Sabutla's social media posts in July 2021. She has been charged with inciting terrorism and violence related to the unrest. Yesterday, Brigadier Steinberg said the social media posts could have led to the violence. She also said the tone of a post on the social media platform X shifted after the Constitutional Court convicted her father, former President Jacob Zuma, of contempt of court.
Hughes then publishes a tweet containing a video of a protest march. In this tweet, he uses the word Amandla for the first time. And the statement, comrades, the time to fight in this arena with mobile phones is over. And that was the first time, my lord, when I got concerned, because that was the first time that I understood it a request perhaps to say, let's stop doing this on social media. This arena is no longer valid, and that might have led to some of the incidents that been and the violence that happened from July 2021.
And finally, the Nigerian government says it's trying to rescue 25 students abducted from a girls' boarding school in the northwest of the country. Gunmen took the students after storming the school in Kebbi State yesterday. The BBC's Chris Walker reports.
This is not the first time we're seeing this kind of mass abduction of students. And usually in the past, some of these kidnaps are intended for ransom. At the moment, the government would be under pressure just to find these girls and to prevent situations like this happening again in the country. In this case, we're looking at a group of armed gangs or militia, known locally here as bandits, whose stock in trade appear to be making an industry out of kidnapping.
Recapping the top story, National Director of Public Prosecutions Shamila Batoy will be the first witness to testify before the Cabinet inquiry in Pretoria. The inquiry is looking into South Gauteng Director of Public Prosecutions, Advocate Andrew Chauke's fitness to hold office. For SAFM News, I am Anne Busa.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. You could spend 10 minutes hunting for the TV remote, or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For her 2024 Kia Picanto, 52-year-old Janine now only pays 561 Rand a month. And for her 2025 Jetour Dashing, 29-year-old Sana pays just 796 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. JCs and information online.
It's a very good morning to you. In your SFM Sports Headlines, soccer. Mamelodi Sundowns stepping up preparations for their CAF Group Stage opener against Limpopo. And in rugby, Eben Etzebeth says the Springboks won't ditch their physical identity as they look to break the Dublin curse against Ireland. The details just before 7:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Delays coming into Pretoria out of Shoshanguve. Big crash scene on the mighty Mopani Highway. This one between Roslyn Road and the N4. Big backlogs leaving Shoshanguve, but a fairly substantial backlog heading up into Shosh as well. So major delays on the R80. Also some very heavy traffic on Joburg's N3 ahead of the roadworks. It's a crash between Marlborough Drive and Beclue. Traffic heavy all the way back into Edenvale. The high volume N1 coming up from El Dorado Park, jam-packed this morning. Traffic exiting from the Potch Highway all the way up through Deepcliff interchange territory, looking really heavy, and a bit of mist around the eastern parts of Joburg, so drive carefully, please, if it's misty where you are. Breakdowns coming out of Pietermaritzburg on the N3 between, well, just before Market Road, so bottom end of that Pietermaritzburg bypass is very slow. A crash between Cliffdale and Key Ridge this morning, very heavy, big traffic Durban bound that queues from almost back as far as sort of Inchunga, Hammersdale area. Also a crash on the N2 going south near Gena Road. The N2 coming through from Queen Andy Drive, backlogging badly, but even heavier on the northbound side due to the onlooking factor and the roadwork. So the N2 from the M7 up to Gena Road is heavy, but that crash on the southbound side. And then Cape Town, just a really busy Tuesday. N1 from Brackenfell through to Kubo, get a change. N2 from the airport through Mowbray Main Road, very slow. A lot of congestion around key routes through Khayelitsha this morning, and no traffic lights. Bloberg Road at Kuberg Road, backlogging traffic leaving Tableview area. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
10 minutes after 7 on this Tuesday. It's great to be in your company. Welcome to it, the second hour of the Morning Brief on SAFM 104 to 107. We are leading the conversations that move us. And among those conversations that move us within this hour, we will tell you about preparations for the G20 summit. Just from a provincial government level in terms of Gauteng, but also from a city level. Widespread road closures, lots of movement of VIP convoys. The arrivals have well and truly started coming out of OR Tambo International Airport, but also other hubs through which people arrive into the country. So lots of activity, and it doesn't help that there's a bit of rain, wet conditions on the roads that may also exacerbate some of that. But also at the same time, you're seeing a scaling up of security. I mean, as I was driving yesterday, coming from Pretoria, I was seeing police vehicles parked on the side of the road, on the side of the highway. This is something, to be quite honest, you don't see it all the time. Let's just tell the truth. It doesn't happen. Last time I saw this under bridge, where police officers will park their cars under the bridge. SAPS, not traffic law enforcement. SAPS. To be honest, I think it was 2010 when we were preparing for the World Cup. So there's definitely a conversation for us to have about scaling up and stepping up security for ourselves, right? Not only when we are receiving guests, because visible policing, there's a reason why it's always emphasized. So it's good to see the police officers out and about, but can we sustain it beyond the G20 really becomes the question. So I'll be in conversation with Dr. Mgcini Jwaku, member of the Mayoral Committee for Public Safety in the city of Joburg, but also I'll be talking to Elijah Mhlanga, who speaks on behalf of the Gauteng provincial government. Those two conversations coming up within the next few minutes. And then a bit later on in this hour, yesterday we took a call from a caller who was talking about the increase in stock theft in the Northwest and talking about areas like Vryburg being among those hotspots for stock theft, but also alleging that there could be collusion between certain elements within law enforcement and almost working like syndicates and the likes. We've delved a bit deeper into the issue, and indeed, there is something to that. Concerns have been raised over the last few months about a rise in stock theft cases in the Northwest and linkages, including the recent arrest of a number of police officers. I think the number is 5. So what we've done is we've invited Mpho Rantona, the Chief Director for the Civilian Secretariat for Police Services, who will talk to us about that phenomenon and that conversation coming up at about 10 to 8 this morning. Your calls, 086 000 2032. Your WhatsApp voice notes and messages, 0614 104 107. Let's get into it. The second hour of the Morning Brief on this Tuesday.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your clientele legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 Rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
The Expresso Morning Show has been nominated in 5 categories in the 3rd Annual National Film and Television Awards South Africa.
It all happens on Saturday, the 22nd of November, 2025, at the South African State Theatre in Pretoria. And public voting is open from the 13th of October to the 20th of November at midday.
So visit nationalfilmacademy.com, register, and vote for Expresso Morning Show in all 5 categories.
Then, of course, catch us weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. right here on S3.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane.
15 minutes after 7, residents, motorists, and travelers are advised to prepare for significant road closures and traffic disruptions around the OR Tambo International Airport and across Johannesburg from today as security measures for the upcoming G20 Leaders Summit come into effect. While flight operations will continue as normal, the airports company South Africa and law enforcement agencies are warning that access routes, parking areas, and several major highways will be highly affected over the coming days. Let's speak to Elijah Mhlanga. He speaks on behalf of the Gauteng provincial government. Elijah, good morning and thank you for your time. For some time now, you've been saying that Gauteng is ready. What does readiness look like in terms of coordination of the various aspects of the safety plans, security plans, as well as traffic flow plans across 3 major cities in the city region?
Good morning, Thulasizwe. No, you're right. We are ready. All aspects of the preparations have been addressed. Concerned our readiness with the fact that there was a time because so the first we can also do test in the communicate the patterns of death, the time it takes from Victoria to Nasrec, the time it takes to Nasrec, the time it takes to Nasrec, and we to the containers, the Fed, that has been streamlined, but also the roads that must be closed, and the also the areas where the deployment is but also look at when it arrives, to look we have experience, so that's also being finalized. And the personnel that have been deployed to work in support of 20, they've also been finalized. So everyone is ready to be that from today, the social summit begins in Kuruleni and so from but also and from to so all of those roads are easy but can communicate which are the time plan.
How confident are you that from a security perspective, and I imagine that you are coordinating with national government and other structures at a national level, but how confident are you of the security plan? I saw that even the Gauteng crime prevention wardens, despite their controversy and the recent findings of the public protector, continue to be deployed as part of the infrastructure that's being rolled out for security.
Well, they've always been part of the preparation. Public protector did not say we must end them. To continue with the work, speaking with the police, there are many points which are in terms of so they are part and parcel of the entire security establishment. The network has been coordinated all security networks in the country, in our province,
province, of course, zooming into the points of interest in the different cities, Pretoria, Johannesburg, as well as Uleni, with high number of people that will be moving around there. So from the briefing that the president got from the acting national and then we have been made to feel confident. Because remember also the community and of course in the province function of the premier. The premier confident that all is in place, working jointly with the national agency. We are confident in that. They have been doing the work, matrix and everywhere else, checking whatever else needs to be rectified. We are now ready to go ahead. Because the security because also especially
And then, do you understand, though, Elijah, the cry that then says this visibility that we're seeing, heightened security patrols on the highways, and that kind of operation that speaks to a high-level event should actually be standard operating procedure for you as a provincial government, as well as law enforcement in the province of Gauteng. What do you make of that commentary that says it's all great to put it up when you've got guests coming, but can we do that for ourselves even after the guests have come and gone?
Well, in Gauteng, we have seen a lot to demonstrate. The first time audience, the first committee policy, that to the province. The second one is but we've also given them helicopters for time fighting in the province. And we are coordinating all our efforts with and what else municipal police for them to do anyway, because crime has not moved. So we have done a lot in the province that we really want to create a peaceful for us.
And then lastly, Elijah, let me tease out this story that has been playing itself out around solidarity and the banners that they'd taken out that were meant to catch the eye of guests as they arrive for the G20 summit that says, "Welcome to the most race-regulated country in the world." And those were removed on one of the approach roads towards the venue in the south of Joburg, triggering some legal action. And I know that at some point there was a bit of confusion and I guess a toing and froing as to whether the Premier would also be joined in that litigation. What's the latest there? Have you heard anything further in that regard? But perhaps even beyond that, the social cohesion conversation that triggers.
Yeah, that matter, statement arrived the Premier is the next and to the government report in the standpoint of the city of Johannesburg through that being following the necessary procedure. So that's where we are. We are going to wait for all the parties involved to state cases, court form contract, so that not misled by what people would have said. So the truth will come out, and we hope we'll want to go for it. But it can be provocative, yes, you right to search yourself, but you also need to be responsible.
All right, let's leave it there. Thank you for your time. Elijah Mhlanga, spokesperson for the Gauteng provincial government.
So you just switched to a different nappy brand, and you're still getting highly absorbent nappies that are skin specialist approved and maximum comfort for your baby. Of course you are, because you made a clever switch to Click's made for baby nappies with Click's trusted quality and great value. When you switch, it just clicks. Switch and save only at Clicks.
Upgrade your summer to extraordinary with free gifts from Vodacom on all summer deals. Like the Redmi 15 on a Red Flexi 160 plan for just 199 per month over 36 months. And get Redmi Buds 6 Play with 399 on us. Plus, enjoy even more extras with 5 gigs YouTube data and 2 months free YouTube Premium. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
All right, let me just quickly reflect on a statement that came through from the Airports Company South Africa, and it's linked to the conversation we were having with Elijah Mhlanga a short while ago. And the Airports Company Airport Operations and Access Update, they say that they would like to inform all passengers, airport users, and stakeholders that during the upcoming G20 Leaders Summit, no delays or disruptions to flight operations are expected. All scheduled flights will operate as normal. However, to accommodate security measures and event requirements, certain airport access roads will be temporarily affected. The following changes will be in effect from Tuesday, which is today. Cargo Road will be completely closed. Access will only be available via Voortrekker Road up to the SAA cargo area. Arrivals Road will be closed and all vehicles will be rerouted to Parkade 2, north and south, for passenger drop-off and pick-up. Short-term parking, commonly known as the Piazza, will be completely closed. And the airports company saying that they apologize for any inconvenience these temporary closures may cause, and sincerely thank all airport users for their patience and understanding during this period. So, in essence, really, the message there is plan ahead and always be ready for certain delays that may occur. I'm told that we are joined by the spokesperson for the Airports Company South Africa, Offense. Joins us now. Offense, good morning, and thank you for your time. So I just reflected on what you wrote in your statement there, Offense Dijwe. Tell us a bit more, the preparations and what it's likely to look like in the coming days as you prepare for the Leaders Summit.
No, good morning. Good morning, Thulasizwe. I just wanted to, good morning to you and your listeners. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to just reassure the airport users, passengers, and our stakeholders who might have seen the message or heard some misinformation regarding our airport and what's happening due to reasons, that the airport is fully functional. We're fully operational and there'll be no flight delays. The only impact we have, and we'll communicate, is that cargo road leading to the airport closed, which is in our 22 up the cargo area. And then as the arrivals road, because you know our airport has the upper Purchase Road and the lower road. The arrivals road closed off. Passengers who want to drop off directed to Parkade North and South. Similar to when area where when you're getting your e-hailing service, where you find them. It's a familiar spot you're familiar with, and that's where they will be safely covered. Another thing is there's an area, a parking area which is formerly known or previously known as the TR. That one is definitely closed off as well. Do not even try going area, rather head towards Parkade North and South. Safe.
All right, Offensa, thank you for that. Offensa Dijwe is the spokesperson for the Airports Company South Africa.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Very good morning to you. Let's start with soccer. Mamelodi Sundowns pushing ahead with prep for their CAF Champions League group stage opener against St. Eloi Limpopo on Saturday, but the group remains wrapped in uncertainty as Orlando Pirates' eligibility protest hangs in the balance. Now, Pirates want CAF to rule on Limpopo's use of Hanok Moles, allegedly registered outside the FIFA window, as well as Wanet Kashala, who's reported to have 2 passports. Now, a ruling could see Pirates dramatically reinstated, turning Sundowns Group into a potential group of death. The Brazilians are still chasing the title that slipped away in last season's final, while former coach Rulani Mokoena, now unbeaten at MC Alger, awaits in the same group. More soccer, the Trump administration announcing a new initiative for foreigners traveling to the US for the World Cup next year that will allow them to get interviews for visas more quickly. Dubbed the FIFA Pass, it will allow those who have purchased World Cup tickets through FIFA to get expedited visa appointments. Here's Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
If you have a ticket for any of the games, you need to apply if you haven't done so as soon as possible. Don't wait till the last minute. Your ticket is not a visa. It doesn't guarantee admission to the U.S. It guarantees you an expedited appointment. You're still going to go through the same vetting. We're going to do the same vetting as anybody else would get. The only difference here is we're moving them up in the queue. We're moving them up faster. But my advice to everyone that's watching around the world is if you intend to come to the games, you have to have a ticket. You need to apply. Apply as soon as possible. You're going to get your interview within 6 to 8 weeks.
Onto cricket, Proteas coach Shukri Conrad has highlighted the influence of Captain Temba Bavuma, who extended his unbeaten record as Test skipper with South Africa's recent victory over India, as well as South Africa fielding an unusual combination of two out-and-out spinners, Keshav Maharaj and Simon Harmer.
I think we've always had decent spinners. We just never had a crop of them. So Kesh has always been around. It feels like he's been around forever. But then at the time, we also had guys like Paul Harris, and then at the same time, Claude Henderson went on a Colpack deal. Simon Harmer went on a Colpack deal. And because of the test matches we played at home, we really play more than two spinners, or more than one spinner. And yeah, so we always were found wanting when we came to the sub. And I think it was a mindset change as well, that you've got to start throwing or showing your belief in spin bowlers as well.
And that's your morning brief sport for now. I'll be back to bowl more top of the hour. I'm Zaikan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, Deputy President Paul Mashatile will officially open the three-day G20 Social Summit in Boksburg, east of Johannesburg, later today. It's a precursor of the two-day Leaders Summit starting on Friday. National Director of Public Prosecutions, Shamila Batoy, will be the first witness to testify before the Kabinde inquiry, which started in Pretoria. The inquiry is looking into South Gauteng Director of Public Prosecutions, Advocate Andrew Chauke's fitness to hold office. And the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says the draft resolution the Security Council passed to bring peace in Gaza is important for consolidating the ceasefire. I'll have details on these and other stories at 8.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
So we're heading on Joburg's N3 today. It's not the roadworks. Well, it's a combination of the roadworks, but it's primarily the crash scene that's happened just after Marlborough Drive. So traffic coming up from Bedfordview, really. There's sort of queues between Cement Factory and Galuli's. That's fairly normal. Then you get the other side of Galuli's into Edenvale, all the way through that crash just after that Marlborough Drive exit. Mike 1 is heavy. Boyson's right through to Glenhove Road. A bit of activity around the Deepcliff interchange means traffic coming up the N1 this morning, jam-packed from the Potch Highway all the way up through Eldo's Devlin and through towards Uncle Charlie's territory. Very slow. Coming out of Pretoria, the crash scene on the Mopani Highway, it's a bad one. It's happened between Roston Road and the N4. That traffic is deeply queued right back through Block XX today. Also an impact going north towards Shoshingive as well. So it always, when it's both sides, gives you an idea that it's a pretty bad collision. Heading to Durban, a broken down truck bottom of the Pietermaritzburg bypass just after New England Road. So from Chotamatala ahead, it's all very slow going. The N2 north from the M7 up through towards Westwood Mall Roadworks is heavy. The N3 inbound Pavilion Mall into that traffic on the N2 north at Spaghetti Junction. Very slow going as well today. Cape Town N1 under pressure from Durban Road right through to the city centre now. M5 is heavy. Southfield, Parkwood area all the way up. There's some delays to Racecourse Road at Kenilworth, and then you just sit in traffic all the way through to the N2. And don't forget the roadworks on the N7 north at Four Trekker Road. Quite a big job there. Traffic is all the way back on that Jake Scherville northbound option from as far back as the N2 at Langa. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The Business Update on SAFM.
Here once again with another update in Ndauling Lechela. Good morning to you, Ndauling. Let's talk the used vehicles market. We're hearing from We Buy Cars, and they're talking about the proliferation of Chinese vehicle brands.
That's right, Tula. So Chinese car brands really starting to reshape the country's used car market, affecting how vehicles are priced and how quickly they sell. Now, the country's biggest second-hand car retailer, We Buy Cars, says the rise of brands like Val and GWM is now influencing the entire industry. According to the CFO, Chris Rain, many of these Chinese models are keeping their value well and selling faster than a lot of other brands because new Chinese cars are priced very competitively, often with attractive finance deals. Many buyers are choosing a new Chinese vehicle instead of the used car. This has made it harder to sell older premium German vehicles. As a result, We Buy Cars has had to lower prices for these cars so it isn't left holding stock that takes too long to sell. The company says these changes have put pressure on its margins, but the adjustments were needed to keep sales moving. Even with those challenges, We Buy Cars managed to grow revenue by 13%, while core headline earnings rose 15%. The company expects that over time, more Chinese cars will enter the used car market, giving it more access to those vehicles.
And a bit of a stabilization in the operating environment for Astral Foods bodes well for its recovery efforts.
Yeah, improving macroeconomic conditions have given Astral much needed this financial year. Softer yellow maize prices after strong local harvest feed input costs, and most importantly, the easing of load shedding has removed one of the biggest operational pressures on the poultry sector, allowing for stable slaughtering, processing, and cold chain performance. And while avian flu risks remain, new vaccine approvals covering around 30% of breeding stock add resilience going forward. And with these tailwinds, Astral delivered double-digit top-line growth with revenue up 10.2%, helped by higher broiler slaughter volumes and firmer selling prices. Astral is pushing ahead with action. Company slaughtered an average of 5.8 billion birds a week and expects to reach just over 6 million by late November as new refrigeration and processing capacity ramps up, supporting better efficiency and scale benefits. Financial position has also recovered as well into the year with billion rand in cash, that's 1.7 billion rand operating cash flow, allowing the group to, smile on investors' faces by doubling its annual dividend.
So what's moving the markets at this hour?
A sea of red across Asian markets, thus, with sentiment hit hard by fading hope of a rate cut at the Fed's next meeting. Expectations have dropped from around 90% to below 50%, and investors are adjusting fast. Japanese Nikkei leading the losses in that front, down 2.7%, dragged lower by a tick fellow, also weighing on Wall Street futures, which are firmly in negative territory this morning. Back at home, local trade was relatively resilient despite the choppiness. JSE also managed to close 0.5% higher. And the currency front, the rand on the back foot, trading at around 17.20 to the dollar. Zinc commodities, oil is softer by about 0.6%, slipping below $64 a barrel.
All right, Dowling, thank you for that. Dowling Lechala will come back with one more update for you, and that's coming up after 8:30. And of course, as she always does, in that update, she'll give you a sense of the kind of trading day you can expect on this Tuesday.
Summer's here, and with FlySafair now flying between Lanseria, East London and PE from just 770 Rand, you can make any of these 3 holiday hotspots your go-to this festive season. From sun-soaked beaches to buzzing city breaks, FlySafair has you all set for the holidays, wherever the adventure takes you. So pack your sunnies, pick your playground and fly into summer. Book now at flysafair.co.za. Fly Safair for the life of flying. T's and C's apply.
48 nations, one dream.
The FIFA Under-17 World Cup hits Qatar and Mzansi's Amajimbos are in the fight.
It's game on everywhere. From 3 to 27 November, catch the action live on SABC Plus, SABC Radio, and SABC TV.
Download SABC Plus now. Stream, listen, watch.
SABC Sport, for the love of the game.
You could spend 10 minutes hunting for the TV remote or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For her 2024 Kia Picanto, 52-year-old Janine now only pays 561 Rand a month. And for her 2025 Jatura Dashing, 29-year-old Sana pays just 796 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. JCs and information online.
Congratulations to the lucky Powerball Plus jackpot winner who won over 6 million rand. 600 Thulasizwe, slowed down. Who won over 6 million rand on Friday after playing at a retailer in Lone Hill in Gauteng. Play Powerball and Powerball Plus for 44 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday, and you could win big. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial star 120 star 7529 hash for USSD. Panda, Pusha, Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
Let's take a few of your voice notes and then go over to your calls. A lot of your voice notes are about issues of security, crime, and of course the conversation we're going to have in the next few minutes with Mpho Rantuna, the Chief Director for the Civilian Secretariat for the Police Service, about stock theft, particularly in the province of the Northwest.
Thulasizwe, good morning. I am Tagata in Lati location of Mvava. Thulasizwe, I know, in fact, I heard that the women are going to have some protest on Friday complaining about the gender-based violence on women. And my big question is, we are going to host countries, and we are the country that was saying to Donald Trump that there is no killing of white farmers in South Africa. The crime is affecting everybody. Now, if we are going to isolate the crime, saying that it is affecting women, what is the statement that are we telling other countries? To me, it's like now we are contracted to ourselves.
Not necessarily, Tagata. I have to disagree with you there. In as far as gender-based violence and femicide is concerned, there's no point in denying that we have a problem. The whole world knows we have a problem. It's not an imaginary problem. It's not it's not fictitious. It's not a genocide that doesn't exist. No, it's a problem that everyone can see. And if you have the world's attention on South Africa and you feel as a segment of society that you've not been heard about this problem that we all know exists, or if you've been heard, nothing is being done about it. It's about dramatizing your grievances. That's what protest is. You just basically put some action to highlight the issue, to bring it front and center. But I don't think the two are comparable at all. Simply not comparable at all. And also just a minor thing as well. I hear your framing about the women are going to be marching. It shouldn't be about the women if we all say this is a problem, an all of society problem, right? So I would invite you to actually think long and hard about the issues that are at the center of that. Doesn't detract from everything else that will be discussed at the G20. Absolutely doesn't detract. But if you have a moment where the world's attention is on you and you want your leaders to pay attention to you, you dramatize your issues, not fictitious issues, real issues that absolutely nobody can deny.
Good morning. It's Warren here, Stutterheim listeners and crew. Sometimes this country sounds like a sick joke. Seriously. Defense Force, police, just generally, you know, it's a laugh if it wasn't so tragic in that respect. That's Warren here from Start Time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, let's have a good day if we can. Cheers.
Yeah.
Bye.
Totally agree, Warren. It does feel like the whole poly crisis, this whole idea of a crisis playing out at multiple levels. It's exactly that, right? If you're not dealing with the issues in the police and crime intelligence, and then this one has done this, and now we're talking defense, and yeah, it seems we can't catch a break. We just can't catch a break. Let me play this one on security, and then I'll go over to the calls.
Good morning, Thulasizwe. This is Temba from Pretoria. I just want to comment on the G20 and the security system around it. I think now we know that in South Africa we don't lack security, because go to Tshwane, City of Joburg and Ekurhuleni, each and every off-ramp, there's a traffic police and an SAPS all the way, all the major roads, like you see police visibility, you see law enforcement officers, be it traffic police.
Yep.
So I think it's a discussion to have after the G20.
Yep.
That if you see so much visibility in Tshwane, so much visibility in City of Joburg, so much visibility in Ekurhuleni, what's happening during like a normal day when there's no G20 or a World Cup?
True
Where are
story.
those people?
True story. We now know for a fact that we have the wherewithal to have that kind of level of security and policing and visible policing, because I'm no expert in these matters, but I imagine if you're a criminal and you're planning a crime and it involves a getaway and you must drive somewhere, you factor in what's the likelihood that once the alarm has been raised about this crime, there could be police officers who are within a short responding distance such that a chase may ensue and actually I could get caught. That's what visible policing is, at least for my untrained eye, right? And when you see this visibility, when we saw it in 2010, the numbers followed. You saw it for yourself in terms of the crime statistics. And we are tired of pining for that level of seriousness around law enforcement. I don't know. I don't know about you. I'm just tired of wishing we could have built on that and wishing we could build on what we are seeing around the G20, including some of the work, by the way, that is being done in our cities in preparation. Why is it not good enough for us when there are no visitors in this country? And it was sounding like a broken record at this point. It really is tiring. Let me go to the CIC of MAP. The CIC of Malutia Pofung. Malema, good morning.
Good morning to us all anyway.
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm proper anyway. Today is my birthday.
Is it your birthday?
Seriously,
Happy
so.
birthday to you, brother.
Thank you, Sulas. Thank you, sir. Sulas, man, icon. You see, the lot of movement in this country is the reason why I'm saying so, Sulas, here in the Lutapofun, Sulas, there are two types of taxis. There are private taxis and those that are in line with what happened all of them.
Yes.
So this private taxis are not, and none of them have a license. I can tell you that right there, 90%
So,
Sulas,
yeah.
and they more than the legal taxis, by the way.
These are the pirate taxis. These are the taxis not licensed by the authorities to operate as a taxi.
Thank you, Sulas. Thank you, Sulas. They are more than the legal taxis, Sulas. They don't have any. Without any the ticket will never be able to get away like that. The ticket here in is just by the way. They're not going to take it by the way.
And you are saying you are one of the people who drive pirated, who operate in a pirate kind of way in the taxi industry?
I'm one of them, plus I don't want to lie. I'm one of them.
Sure. Does
But,
that not
but
undermine, though, your message around lawlessness, though, Malema? In that you are lamenting lawlessness by people who drive without licenses, meanwhile, you are also involved in operating unlawfully.
the reason why I'm also saying I wanted to do a follow up on it. It's been a while we're talking about the this one has been wrong for many years. Yes. There are people who died for this one. Like we're each and every year we're always fighting. There are guns, there are all when back to the business.
All right. Malema, thank you for sharing that. Something to look into in the area of Malutia Pofung. The proliferation, Malema tells us, of drivers who drive without licenses, but also operating without being permitted in terms of the taxi industry. Arthur Opongolo, good morning to you.
Good morning, Thulasizwe and SA.
Good morning. Please go ahead. Yeah.
I want to go to the matter where previously, a few weeks ago, I did one talk of soldier. I think recently I've been prepared by what the Chief of the Navy, Vice Admiral Monde Lobese said. He has already spoken out to say this thing I've been talking out them has been existing. Lastly, I remember you said this to the one of said why we don't have Navy vessels that are coming in the harbor. Hey, I was dealt heavily. They punished me for that, for suggesting that. Why? What, they said one of them, even why are you prosecuting management? And then admit I was hiding under the fence, even if he was the executive was still hiding that, which was talking about me of that case they said asking why one help security measures like SA Navy operating the port in soldiers.
Yeah.
Today, Bond has already indicated me. I'm still pursuing that even today. The forensic report is back in 2019. They issued last year in October. I'm still going to do this better. And today I'm a happy man.
Yeah. No, Arthur, thank you for that. Some serious thinking needs to happen around what the chief of the SA Navy has said about the state of the Defense Force in general, but also the Navy itself, the investment that needs to go into it, because there's been a serious underinvestment. And you just need to look at the defense review to just get a sense of, yeah, we are not at war. We accept that. We are not at war, so we're never going to be investing like countries that are at war. But my goodness, it reaches a point of ridiculousness in terms of how we've pared down our defense force. And this is what the chief of the SA Navy was saying, that basically what's been happening is the equivalent of the disbandment of the political killings task team, just the reduction in the budget, such that, sailors are not able to take to sea. And we've got these pockets where no one really knows what movements are happening, and even the coverage of the airspace, something that was raised a few days ago. So we've reached levels where you can't cut down any further in as far as defense spending. I think that is the upshot of what the SA Navy chief was saying.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Morning, still very heavy on Pretoria's Mopani Highway, the R80 under pressure with a really big crash in this morning between Rosslyn Road and the N4. Traffic is parked all the way back to XX. It really is quite bad. Joburg, the N3 North crash going up to Buccleuch is being cleared, but as we suggested, it would just release all that traffic into the long-term roadwork. So from Bedfordview through to Buccleuch, it is car parking this morning. The Mike 1's a bit of a standout. On your way to Stanton, you'll hit traffic from Boyson's all the way up to about Melrose, up to about Corlett Drive. And the N1 still heavy from Devlin through Diepkloof down to Uncle Charlie's. If you're going straight through Diepkloof, you'll hit some more traffic Soweto up towards Gordon Road. That's looking fairly loaded up as well. Durban, the N2 going north, still under pressure from the M7, moving through Spaghetti Junction up to Westwood Mall. Behind that, the N3 really bad this morning from Paradise Valley at Point and all the way through on your way into Spaghetti Junction. N2 north queuing through Kumashu up towards Gateway. That looking quite heavy. And a breakdown by New England Road on the N3 south, backing traffic on the Pietermaritzburg bypass from Chotomo Motala all the way down to that obstruction, fairly heavy as well. Cape Town, a busy one, particularly on the N1. A crash just after Kuba get a change, so heavy coming in from the Belleville side this morning. Marine Drive from Sunningdale through to the second lights at Sunset Beach is heavy. A lot of traffic bypassing that and jamming up Rivergate, Malabongwe, down towards the N7 quite slow. And the M5 is pretty sluggish as well. Traffic sitting from around about Kenilworth all the way up to the N2 highway. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Summer's here, and with FlySafair now flying between Lanseria, East London and PE from just 770 Rand, you can make any of these 3 holiday hotspots you'll go to this festive season. From sun-soaked beaches to buzzing city breaks, FlySafair has you all set for the holidays, wherever the adventure takes you. So pack your sunnies, pick your playground, and fly into summer. Book now at flysafair.co.za. FlySafair, for the life of flying. T's and C's apply.
James, congrats on the babies.
Yeah, thanks. It's a wild ride.
You're a new dad, 2 babies, 0 sleep, and 1 car that apparently couldn't cope.
Yeah, the hatchback was my baby, but it just didn't have enough space for my 2 new babies.
And are you happy with the price when you sold to WeBuy Cars?
Very. We've even got some extra cash to splurge on one of those fancy brands that you basically need a license for.
Good luck, James. WeBuy Cars. Here for family, here for you.
Big stories of the day. Hashtag the morning brief.
All right, let's come to this now. Yesterday, we took a call from one of our listeners in the Northwest who was talking about the phenomenon of stock theft and just the sense of police not being able to respond to it, but also possibly allegations of collusion and involvement of syndicates at the very least around stock theft. It's an issue that has come to the fore quite sharply in that province. Recently, a march staged by some farmers to the Premier's office to demand urgent action on spiraling stock theft. And they marched under the banner of the Northwest Active Farmers Association. And these farmers were saying that theft has reached alarming levels, with syndicates operating openly and some police officers allegedly helping them instead of stopping them. And we saw 5 police officers recently arrested in the Northwest around this issue. So what's being done about it? Let's speak to Mpho Rantuna, the Chief Director for the Civilian Secretariat for the Police Service. Good morning to you and thank you for your time. So just your own understanding of the issue and the spiraling issue of stock theft in the Northwest. When listeners like the one who called yesterday complain about this issue and suspect that the police are not doing enough to respond to it, is there merit to those concerns?
Hi, good morning, Thulasizwe and listeners. You know, stock theft is a challenge. It's a major challenge. We are experiencing a lot of it, especially in the region of Malema and the poverty side. But in all honesty, if you can look at the life significantly reduce the cases or the reporting or the stock theft cases that we have been. Yes. So we are doing a lot of work with regard to that. You remember that a few times in the last quarter, the MEC for Community Safety and Transport Management, Honorable Murray, has been going around, especially in that with the farmers who are doing awareness campaigns. And we even went as far as a daily national, because at national, there's a team that they normally, if stocks has goes out of control like this one, they will send that team ahead of the and then they will send it to also come and assist the police officers to deal with the crime, especially in places where the police are also involved in this. So we send a team that is not from that place, and then can come and assist. So if you look at the crimes of in particular, it was one of the crimes that will those are now coming up. So there is a lot of work that has been done by the province, especially in trying to assist our
communities to really deal with it.
So, if the situation is improving, why are farmers feeling as if it's escalating, leading recently to that march that we saw, but also importantly, there's concerns about possible involvement of police officers, right? We saw, I mean, there's allegations that in many cases, some investigators are working with the thieves. And we saw the arrest of those 5 police officers. So if the situation is improving, why do the farmers feel like it's not?
Like I'm saying, we are not saying it has. We are saying we are doing so much work and that it has to reduce. And our wish is for it to completely stop. So what the department is right now is that we have the crime prevention framework where we can now partner. We are given that mandate to say, do whatever. So what the department is looking at is rolling like your CCTV cameras, even in this place, especially where we see that there's a lot of so that is basically what we're trying to do. But we are not saying it has stopped. We are saying it has reduced significantly, and we are going to do everything in our power to find a solution to the problem. But let me just say, if, that's not long back, we 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 arrested people somewhere in Colini. They were stocks full of inside a cake. So majority of our stock that is stolen in Northwest, it finds itself in other provinces. So we are also now partnering with provinces to say this is the challenges that we are getting. Then how best are we assisting each other? Because it cannot be that sometimes you find yourself in KZN, especially gold, find them in Gauteng, you find them in Northern Cape, but they are stolen in Taung. So something is needs to be done, and like I'm saying, it's not a provincial issue; it's now a national crisis that we must all deal with.
If someone were to ask you, what does the response plan specifically for stock theft look like? What are the pillars of that, and what resources have been put towards achieving the goals of that plan against stock theft?
Okay, like I'm saying, the national has dedicated teams. Northwest they have corporate. That's the police side of it. On our side as a department, what the NEC has been doing is identify all those hotspots that we have a lot of. That is what the NEC actually goes of extract what is. So like I'm saying, he has been going there, he has been engaging farmers, and he will, like when he leaves the place, he will even he leaves the place with a what do you call it?
Mpo,
A
let's,
captain.
Mpo, let's do this. I apologize. Let me take the news. Please don't go anywhere. Let's complete the conversation immediately after the news because I do feel like I have 1 or 2 other questions for you. Mpo Rantuna, Chief Director for the Civilian Secretariat for Police Services. I'm quite late. Let's go straight to N. Musa.
Outsurance is in the business of saving you money on your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
In our top stories, Mashatile to address the opening of the G20 Social Summit and Batoy to testify before the Nkabinde inquiry. Good morning. Deputy President Paul Mashatile will officially open the 3-day G20 Social Summit in Boksburg, east of Johannesburg, later today. It's a precursor of the 2-day Leaders Summit starting on Friday. The Social Summit will bring together civil society voices that will contribute to the G20 decision-making process. Ntebo Mukobo has more.
The social summit concept started in Brazil last year And building on the idea of entrenching civil society input into the G20, South Africa wants to ensure that the summit elevates issues of social development, equity and inclusion to the same level of financial concerns. The three-day meeting brings together representatives from governments, civil society, labor, youth, women and persons with disabilities, among others. Almost 5,000 delegates are expected to attend, with at least 11 thematic areas up for discussion. Both President Cyril Ramaphosa and his Brazilian counterpart Lula da Silva will feature on the last day.
National Director of Public Prosecutions Shamila Batoy will be the first witness to testify before the Nkabinde inquiry, which started in Pretoria yesterday. The inquiry is looking into South Gauteng Director of Public Prosecutions, Advocate Andrew Chauke's fitness to hold office. President Cyril Ramaphosa suspended him in July following allegations of misconduct and political interference in high-profile cases. These include failure to pursue charges against former police crime intelligence boss Richard Mhluli. Chief Evidence Leader Advocate David Mhlomoniane.
The establishment of a present inquiry raises recommendation by the National Director of Prosecutions of the NDPP, Mila. Advocate Batohi has submitted an affidavit. He will be the first witness called to testify in this inquiry. Has outlined in the affidavit the circumstances which led to the recommendation.
The state in the Senzo Mehiwa murder trial is expected to poke holes in the testimony of defense witness Absalom Zungu. He has been testifying in the High Court in Pretoria, where 5 men are on trial for killing Mehiwa in October 2014. Zungu allegedly gave the investigating team a breakthrough in the case when he implicated Muzi Sibiya and Bongani Ntanzi in the killing. Yesterday, State Prosecutor George Baloyi questioned if Zungu was really aggrieved after hearing Brigadier Gininda's testimony in 2023.
Brigadier Gininda testified for the first time in this court around the 27th of November 2023 and referred to your name during his testimony. However, the statement that you made at Newcastle Police Station is only dated 8 July 2025. If you were so aggrieved as you have mentioned, why did you wait this long?
What was I supposed to do?
And finally, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says a draft resolution adopted by the Security Council to bring peace in Gaza is an important step to consolidate the ceasefire. Hamas has, however, rejected the vote, which envisages its disarmament. The resolution has also proven controversial in Israel because it references a future possibility of statehood for the Palestinians. The BBC's Nada Taufik has the details.
Russia and China did not exercise their vetoes but abstained to let the resolution pass, largely because the Palestinian Authority and 8 other Arab and Muslim nations backed it. However, both Moscow and Beijing criticized the resolution. They said there was little clarity about the key mechanism's composition, that it didn't ensure the participation of the UN, and that it failed to explicitly reiterate a firm commitment to the two-state solution. Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu reasserted his opposition to a Palestinian state.
Recapping the top story, Deputy President Paul Mashatile will officially open the 3-day G20 Social Summit in Boksburg, east of Johannesburg, later today. It's a precursor of the 2-day Leaders Summit starting on Friday. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
This Black Friday, Outsurance is confident that they can beat your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask them for 500 Rand cash. Make that 1,500 Rand cash if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. With Outsurance, you could get monthly premium savings or at least 500 Rand cash. Make today the day you switch and save. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
It's a very good morning to you. In your SFM sports headlines, it's rugby. The Springbok assistant coach, Mzwandile Stick, says the world champions are not being treated fairly after yet another week dominated by the red card drama. And in soccer news, Arsenal are looking to right the Sunderland wrong. Let's find out more just before 8:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Very good morning. If you're leaving Pretoria, Shosenguve, still very heavy backlogs on the R80, the Mopani Highway. It's a really big crash that happened earlier this morning between Rawson Road and the N4, and that traffic still parking back heavily to Block XX. A lot of traffic on Route 1 coming out of Pretoria this morning from Storenville Road down to Boerta Avenue. Joburg's N3 North, the crash after Limbro Park is being cleared, but as we said, it's just released all that traffic up into the roadwork. So from Bedford View heading up to Buccleuch, jam-packed. The N3 South, Buccleuch down to London Road into the roadworks, fairly heavy as well. Mike 1 Boyson's up to around about sort of Glenhove on your way to Sandton, very slow. N1 North through Dipcliff, Uncle Charlie's remains packed, and the N1 from Soweto up to Gordon Road remaining fairly sluggish as well. Coming out of Pietermaritzburg, still the stationary truck just by New England Road, so a really big pile up and push back right back to sort of Chota Mortala territory. Another crash and a stationary truck at Cliffdale on your way to Durban, so that's all slow. And the N3 going inbound very slow this morning from around about Paradise Valley, the M13 all the way in to Spaghetti Junction. Big traffic on the N2 from Komashu through to Gateway. That looks heavy. And Cape Town, a crash. N1 into town after Kuba. Get a change. That's keeping traffic volumes up from Plattercliff Hill territory. N2 inbound from Langa M5, backing up heavily from Kenilworth. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
11 minutes after 8. I wanted to conclude the conversation that we started just before the news with Mpho Rantuna, the Chief Director for the Civilian Secretariat for Police Services. And the reason we do that is that there's still a few more questions around the issue of stock theft. And I thought it would be fair, only fair, for us to complete the conversation after the news. Mpho, thank you for staying on. Before the break, I'd asked you about what the plan looks like. What are the pillars of the plan and strategy against stock theft in the Northwest? You had mentioned visits by the MEC. What else is in that plan?
Yeah, Thulasizwe, when it comes to police matters, you remember that you cannot just about rest. The reason okay, because of some of the tests that are in place, but we like affected province as well as Botswana because some of the success things I'll let you tell you why in Botswana. We are bordering with Botswana. If you realize we have 15 licenses in Botswana. So when you realize those are so you some they didn't cross over to Botswana because of the borderline.
Yeah.
So what we are doing is we have been having all those equipment and the police are dealing with that. That is why now you see that
With due respect, with due respect, the question I'm asking you about the plan doesn't ask you to reveal the tactics of how exactly how many officers are going to be deployed when, what roadblock will happen where. But what I expected, and the reason I'm sticking with this point is that, you know, we introduced you as the Chief Director for the Civilian Secretariat for Police Services. And I would have thought you would have been talking more from an oversight perspective over the police services. And yes, hear me out. But as I'm talking to you, I'm also hearing you inserting yourself more from the perspective of the department. And hence, this is why I feel more accountability is then expected from you. I hope you understand the reason why I'm asking you for more accountability. So when I say to you, what does the plan look like? I expected you to tell me about intelligence driven, what resources are being deployed in terms of cooperating with communities, farmer organizations, those linkages. That's the part that I'm not hearing from you over and above the visits by an MEC.
If you listen to me earlier on, I told you that from our side in the department, this is what we are doing. We engage listeners to give us a survey.
Mm.
Going around to and that is the in that is our
Right.
challenge.
Okay.
Hence, now the crime is going down because of the
Yeah.
in that.
All right. Lastly, then, I do need to move on. We've spent a lot of time on this conversation. When the farmers and communities, like the caller that called in, complain about this almost escalating to a point of syndicates working with police officers, from your civilian secretariat for police perspective, do they have cause for concern around that?
There are cases that let me come to the caller in particular. We don't have any because after yesterday we went but where we look at this complaint and we do investigate and if there's enough some another person will say, "Make it withdraw." So if I find out it's happening, there's investigate we able
Mm.
to be in the
All right, I've got to thank you for your time and engaging with me. That's Mpho Rantuna, the Chief Director for the Civilian Secretariat for Police Services.
Big stories of the day. Hashtag the morning brief.
All right, let me bring you this conversation. This conversation is brought to you and sponsored by Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 7. Emergencies can strike without warning, from medical incidents to road accidents or security threats. Samsung South Africa has announced the expansion of its Samsung SOS Plus to a wider range of Galaxy devices, strengthening its commitment to advancing personal safety through technology. Let's have a chat with Zahir Kaji, MX lead, product and commercial at Samsung South Africa, to find out about how this enhances the Samsung Galaxy phone offering in the country and what this means for you. Zahir, good morning and thank you for your time. So SOS Plus, before we
Hi,
get
good
into
morning.
its expansion to more Samsung Galaxy line of devices, what is it, Samsung SOS Plus?
So SOS, good morning, everyone. The SOS Plus, Samsung SOS Plus that we've launched around May, and we've now expanded to a larger range of devices. Effectively, it gives users free access to a 24/7 emergency and medical response. And the way it works is it's effectively connected and integrated into a network of security and medical response companies. These are private medical and security companies, so the likes of BBC, Cap, Beagle, etc., integrated into that platform. And essentially, you get an Uber-like experience. You know, with the click of a button, you're able to get a call within 20 seconds. You're located, your, your location is found, and then you're able to even view and see who's coming to respond to you and what the estimated time of arrival would be.
So tell me about the expansion then. My understanding is that it's to more Galaxy devices. Why this range? Why is it a good fit for this kind of product?
So I think as Samsung, we pioneers in mobile manufacturing, and we've always prided ourselves in in leading technologies and giving South Africans the best of what we have to offer. And we've taken a deeper view in further understanding South African consumer needs. We all know that safety, security, and peace of mind is one of the core needs of our South African consumers. And to this end, I mean, statistically, 95% of our South African consumers don't have access to private medical or emergency response services. And we've decided that, we want to give them this type of access to the service range of our device portfolio. So effectively, from the A17 3699 retail price device all the way going through the A26, S25 XE, the rest of the S25 range, and also our Galaxy Z series, the fold and the flip range. So we've expanded the portfolio. It means all our Galaxy consumers purchasing these devices have free access for 12 months to this emergency medical response called Samsung Plus.
And I understand that in all of this, you have partnered with Aura. Is it Aura? AURA. Tell me a bit more about
That's correct.
that partnership.
Yeah. So the partnership with Aura is a pretty vital one. I mean, they effectively bridge the network of services that are provided through integration, and we've partnered with them effectively because that's what they do best. We use our technology integrated with their platform and aggregation of service to be able to provide this service to Samsung Plus to the Galaxy consumers. It's been a pretty important partnership, obviously utilizing the technology that ourselves and them. Customers are able to be located from a call center perspective. When you call the emergency dedicated toll-free number, they know exactly who you are. You immediately recognize your location as well. So the service all round, both from a technology perspective as well as the interaction as well with the advisor, or if you're using the app module, it's perfectly seamless and it works really well.
Yeah. Zahir, it sounds important enough for us to, as a parting shot, perhaps recap. What is it that your customers and people who own these devices in the Galaxy range, what is it that they need to do to be able to redeem this offer of access to SOS Plus?
So it's pretty simple. Customers that have purchased effectively any of the devices from 1 November A17 all the way up to the Galaxy Z, you simply claim your SOS Plus benefit through logging into Samsung Members. You go into Samsung Members, you click on the banner that says SOS Plus. You follow a couple of registration prompts, and that's basically taking your name and telephone number so that you're able to be recognized within the environment when you have an emergency. And that's it. No hidden costs. There's no input of any payment details, nothing of that sort. So it's not a subscription service. There's no time lapse and 7-day free trial. It's 12 months free access to this amazing service.
All right, Zahir, thank you for that. Zahir Kaji is MX lead for product and commercial at Samsung South Africa. And that conversation was brought to you and sponsored by Samsung. Samsung SOS Plus turns your Galaxy device into a smart, powerful emergency lifeline, combining communication, advanced location technology, and rapid response capabilities in one solution. Buy a new Samsung Galaxy Z7 series or Galaxy S25 phone before 31 January 2026 to get 12 months free access to private medical and armed response, courtesy of Samsung SOS Plus. T's and C's apply.
5 teams, one epic journey. No flights, no smartphones, just grit, maps, and pure determination. Race Across the World Season 3 is back, and the stakes have never been higher. From bustling cities to remote villages, who will conquer the chaos and cross the finish line first? Thursdays at 6 p.m. only on S3. Yes.
Usutu does not mind visitors, provided 3 points remain in KZN. However, Swelele refuse to travel to Durban as tourists. They want nothing but victory.
This is the Midway Premiership. Forever.
Amazulu FC versus Swelele FC on Saturday, 22 November at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Then on SABC radio stations at 3:30 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
Call Thulasizwe now. 086 000 2032.
All right, let me take a few of your voice notes, some of them responding to the issue of stock theft, particularly as it manifests in provinces like the Northwest.
Morning, Tulas. Yeah, we live in Johannesburg West, Sirubepom, stock thefts to a point where most of the farmers don't even engage in farming activities anymore because you're working backwards. Pakistan police station, we have spoken to them. No one is helping us, you know. They'll just come and register a case, and then a few days or a few weeks later, you're going to get SMS that tells you that your case has been closed for no evidence. It's so tough. It's so tough. You know, it's so tough. It's very, very tough. Mike here in Siribacom.
Mike, thank you for that. Yeah, there's a thriving stock farming, albeit on a small scale, to the south of Joburg, that area that you described there. So it is perturbing to hear that you also suffer due to these issues of stock theft. Let me take a call from, is it Shura in Durban? Good morning to you, Shura.
Good morning, Shura. You think we should try and give public opinion about the something that's defined? And we know now, I mean, everybody knows that Africa is not the only country that has a percentage of they were other countries they do something about it. Or shall we just leave it?
You mean the issue of crimes involving syndicates, organized crime, that is, yeah?
Public opinion. South Africa is not the only country that had this problem.
Yes.
I mean, not everybody has to live under that.
Except though, Shura, we've seen examples where countries have decided that enough is enough. We're going to do something about it.
Yeah. So, you know, everyone has to live under that skirt now. The other day, thinking about it, in a social reform. I mean, they feel like Robert Mugabe. Okay.
Right, Shura. So what's your sense? What needs to be done? You talk about public opinion, but beyond that.
I don't really hear what the public has to say. I don't know. The government has to decide. Like the whole country, and the entire black community, you know, has to live under this.
Yeah. All right, Shura. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's Shura out in Durban there. Let me take one more voice note before I go to Zai. Someone here wants to talk about the SAPS. Let's hear what that is about.
Good morning, Tulas. Morning, SFM. Just on visible policing. Yeah, every time you ask any politician or any senior person in the police about visible policing, there's always the complaint about resources. But yeah, miraculously, when there's a big event, especially if it includes the West, I'm not saying international because some African meetings have gone down here without we didn't blink an eye. But with regards to any Western get-togethers, then yeah, no, then there's police everywhere you see. And I mean, if you look during the festive season, the amount of traffic cops have increased overnight. And the question is obviously, we didn't train them yesterday and deploy them the day after. So they were always there.
Yeah.
So this is sort of where South Africans need to pay attention. We've been had here.
Yeah, thank you for that. Nothing to add to that. I absolutely agree. Suddenly, resources are not an issue all of a Sunday.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning. And what, Tulas? I'm looking at you thinking that the Boks don't need a defense coach. They actually need a legal team. Do you know anyone?
No.
Anyway, the world champions apparently are not being treated fairly, according to the Springbok assistant coach, Mzwandile Stick. He was speaking in Dublin, saying the Boks are frustrated by what they believe are inconsistent refereeing decisions.
And then I think we're just disappointed with the way things are being handled at the moment, you know. Because once again, if you look at the actions of Franco Mostet, even with Lord Diaga the previous week, he has done everything but a book. It was probably just the only mistake was just maybe the contact was here, but it ended up in the head. So I don't understand how does that become permanent. But because of rugby is a physical game, sometimes you don't get it perfect. But for them to say those were the tackle was never legal, it's disappointing.
In the meantime, Ibn Etzebeth says the Springboks are eyeing a rare slice of history in Dublin this weekend. South Africa haven't beaten Ireland since 2012, and that was away. But they head into Saturday's test as double world champions and number one in the rankings. Onto football, a massive legal standoff in Europe. France captain Kylian Mbappe is demanding 240 million euros in damages from Paris Saint-Germain, claiming unfair treatment before his move to Real Madrid. PSG have hit back with their own countersuit worth 180 million euros linked to a derailed Al Hilal transfer. Mbappe alleges he was sidelined from the first team during the 2023-24 season after refusing a contract extension. In the meantime, Barcelona returned to Camp Nou this weekend for the first time in over 2 years. The partially renovated stadium will reopen at over 45,000 capacity as work continues towards the final 105,000 seat layout. In the meantime, Arsenal are out to fix the Sunderland slip and roast their North London rivals this weekend. Mikel Arteta's side can make a real title statement against a rebuilding Tottenham Hotspur outfit that's suddenly organised and not afraid to fight back. A win puts pressure on Manchester City. And finally, boxing former undisputed champion Alexander Usyk has vacated his WBO heavyweight belt. The organization has now elevated Fabio Wardley to full champion after his knockout win over Joseph Parker. Usyk was originally mandated to face the Parker Wardley winner, and that was in September. That's your morning brief sport for SAFM. I'm Zai Khan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, the Judicial Watchdog Judges Matters says National Director of Public Prosecutions, Shamila Batoi's evidence before the Nkabinde inquiry is crucial. She will be the first witness to testify before the inquiry, which is looking into Gauteng Director of Public Prosecutions, Andrew Chauke's fitness to hold office. Deputy President Paul Mashatile will officially open the three-day G20 Social Summit in Boksburg, east of Johannesburg, later today. It's a precursor of the two-day Leaders Summit starting on Friday. And City of Johannesburg senior officials, including Mayor Dada Burero, will this morning provide an update on progress made in the verification of informal traders operating with the city. I'll have details on these and other stories at 9.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Well, finally, the Mopani Highway starting to move after a big crash earlier this morning down by the N4 highway between Rossen Road and the N4. It had traffic backed up long and heavy through there, but it is starting to ease up and starting to finally move through. Crash on the M1 South before Allendale Road. All lanes are open, but it is slow as you come down through from the Samrand Road area. N3 between Modderfontein Road and Beclue, still very heavy as you line up into the roadworks. Earlier crash back things up, but it was just released into the roadworks. So as we warned, it would take a while for that to settle down and normalise today, but it is really an all-day delay as well at N3 up into Beclue. The Mike 1 from Boysens going up to around Carr Street, slow through the double-decker. There are some roadworks underway, and that stays really busy after rush hour until sort of early, sort of mid-afternoon. You can come up through the Crown from Boysens and hit some delays. Breaking down truck bottom end of Pietermaritzburg bypass New England Road. That's heavy still coming through from Chotamatala. A breakdown on the N3 inbound closer to Durban at Spaghetti Junction, so very bad coming through from Paradise Valley. You might want to use the M13 through Westfield as an alternative. N2 North has been busy and slow today from Kumashu up towards the Gateway exit. Make sure you've got plenty of time to get through that for those important flight connections. Cape Town, N1 into town. The crash after Kubo Interchange has been cleared, but left a busy run through with traffic backlogging from around about Durban Road, Plattercliff Hill area. N7 both ways into Four Trekkers heavy. Southbound unusual. Northbound you'll know about that because of the roadworks and a crash going out of Cape Town just entering Somerset West before Victoria Street. Quite heavy pushback there to Broadway Boulevard. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The business update on SAFM.
Let's say good morning to Ndauling Lechela for one more update. Ndauling, talk to me about the Ackerman family. What decisions are they taking around their Pick n Pay stake, and how does that help the retailer in its restructuring efforts?
Yeah, so the family that is reducing stake slowly but surely just to ensure that the company has more money. So by selling some of that, well, some of those shares, they are getting money and then they're pumping it back into the company to fund that restructuring process. The group's largest reseller, the largest shareholder, is the Ackerman family, said to sell just over 50 million shares through an accelerated move that marked an important moment in the turnaround. Now, the family is selling in three shares as described for case capitalization, and the proceeds will be used to settle the third-party funding that had hindered at a critical point in its recovery. That funding covered 0.1 billion rand contribution to the rights offer, professional fees for more than a year of interest charges. But the disposal also has major implications to Pick and Pay's ownership structure. Yet 105 million B shares cancelled, reducing the Ackerman family's voting interest from 59% to around 36.8%, and its economic stake from 26.7% just over 8%. While this signals a meaningful shift away from tight under control that has shaped Pick and Pay for decades, the family will remain a long-term anchor, retaining more than 135 million shares and agreeing not to sell any further stock for about 3 months.
Mm. Right, fascinating from the world of legacy family businesses, or at least family founded businesses. Talk to me about the decision that the competition authorities are taking around Jubilee Metals and their
Yes.
exit from South Africa.
So Jubilee is moving closer to a withdrawal from its local operations after the Competition Commission the sale of its remaining chrome and PGM operations to One Chrome. 1.5 billion rand transaction still requires approval from the Reserve Bank and the completion of several audit-related conditions, which the company expects to finalize by the end of the month. Now, the assets being sold include multiple chrome and PGM processing plants located across Bushveld complex with a collective capacity of more than 1.65 million tons of chrome and 42,000 ounces of PGMs a year. Jubilee began winding down these operations earlier last year, saying the plants had reached maturity and were no longer cost effective. Industry conditions have also deteriorated. Chrome producers have faced rising electricity prices, increased competition from China, and the expansion of the individual chrome market, while the PGM sector has been weighed down by several years of lower prices, even though, the tide has started to turn this year. The sale, in the meantime, is part of Jubilee's strategy to reposition itself as a pure copper player, really pumping money into projects in Zambia.
Lastly, Dowling, wrap up everything you've told us this morning and project for us. What kind of a trading day can we expect?
So local markets are poised to start the day in the red, despite fundamentals being positive here at home. Traders are eyeing consumer inflation data and the last monetary policy update for the year. Ahead of that, some caution is on the table, and this is mainly on the back of international developments. And so the rand has weakened around 17.1 against cash as risk of appetite builds, and that same tone is weighing on commodities with oil trading below $64 a barrel. In Wall Street, futures are pointing lower as the tech stocks continue to retreat, ending the sector's recent sell-off, and fueling in trade as well. So tech counters are fueling negative momentum.
Right, Dowling, thank you for that. Dowling Lechela has kept you updated throughout the 3 hours on all things business, economics, and the markets here on the Morning Brief.
Steadies understands that victory in their own backyard is highly important before the going gets tough on foreign soil. While the Congolese Giants want to kick off their group stage campaign on a high note. This is the CAF Confederation Cup encounter. Stellenbosch FC versus AS Otoho. This Sunday, 23 November at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Then on SABC radio stations at 3 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of
Thulasizwe Simelane is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
21 minutes to 9. You know what? We go through so much in this country, right? And you and I debate these issues on a daily basis, so much to be angry about and so much to be frustrated with and all of that. But occasionally, we must take a step back and draw inspiration where we can find it on those unique stories. And we thought, let's put together this feature, this conversation that we hope will uplift you and give you hope, right? So, Martin Brown, we want to introduce you to Martin Brown. He is a globally recognized entrepreneur, inventor, and inspirational business speaker who has transformed a life altering tragedy into a thriving international enterprise. After a diving accident in 1995 left him disabled from the neck down, Martin drew on his engineering mindset, medical training, and unwavering determination to design and manufacture custom built, all terrain, powered wheelchairs. Over the past 15 years or thereabouts, he has built a world leading company that empowers people with disabilities across continents and earned multiple entrepreneurial awards in the process along the way. So let's speak to Martin Brown, entrepreneur and speaker, who joins us now. I'm told as I was launching into that intro, we've now lost Martin, who was joining us on the line. Let's see if we can reconnect with Martin Brown and just talk about the business that he has built in the last few years, the last 15 years, just growing that business and the awards that have come with it, just drawing from his engineering mindset as well as medical training into that business that manufactures all-terrain powered wheelchairs, and how that really is transforming the lives of many people with disabilities, not only in this country, but in many parts of the world.
This is Thulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief.
All right, let me play one or two of your voice notes as we try and work on that connection that we lost to Martin Brown.
Tulas, following on what Temba is saying, it's not only about policing. You drive all over these three major cities. I stay in Tshwane, so I will restrict myself to Tshwane. You find vegetation that has been overgrowing on the roadside everywhere. It has been removed. Guys have been working Saturday, Sunday, and you can see even these people, if they look around, they will see that most of this is freshly cut. So we do have the capacity to deliver services, but we just don't. There is no will to deliver services. We are able to deliver services. This is really, truly a conversation to have. David in Centuria.
David, thank you for that. What is to be done? Are we as citizens going to accept a return to what has been our normal until this point? I guess that is the question. Now that we have seen that it is possible to replace the bulbs for the lights along the highway, it is possible to cut the vegetation and trim it and ensure that, it's all looking prim and proper ahead of the G20, and officials can go into the inner city and make sure that they put bins where people can throw in their trash and pick up rubbish, and you have cleanup campaigns and everyone is rolling their sleeves and it's all beautiful. Are we going to accept come November the 24th, 25th, that we return to a business as usual? That really is the question. I think we'll be letting ourselves down if we allow ourselves to return to that.
Good morning to Thulasizwe. Good morning to the SAFM listeners. Every time when you approach summer season, I become very worried, most especially for a place that I was born in, Ladysmith. The drainage system there is just a disaster. It's extend to even town. The drainage system just doesn't work. And every time there's rain, you have a big chance of having floods in Ladysmith.
Absolutely. And Ladysmith really is, there's nothing much more to say to add to what you are saying when Asegwanel. We've seen that scenario play itself out over many rainy seasons, and it really is concerning. We battled to connect with our guest that we had invited to talk on that from a civil engineering perspective. We'll see if we can move that conversation and have it in the coming days. because there are innovations around the stormwater drainage systems um, area of interest of civil engineering that I was hoping we could explore. The traditional way is basically curbside, let the water drain into, a system curbside, and then it goes into pipes, and then it's taken to another part where there'll be an outlet. But I'm told that in terms of engineering, there are new innovations that can help in dealing with the phenomenon that you described. Thank you for that. I'll come back to your calls and WhatsApps a bit later on. I believe we do have Martin Brown now to pick up on that conversation about how, he was able to transforming a life altering tragedy into a thriving international enterprise. And after a diving accident in 1997 left him disabled from the neck down, Martin drew on his engineering mindset, medical training, and unwavering determination to design and manufacture custom built, all terrain powered wheelchairs. Martin joins us now. We've been able to connect with him. Good morning to you, Martin, and thank you for your time. We thought we'd just profile your story because the business has been growing. But let's start where it all began. Take me to that life altering moment for you in December 1997.
Good morning. Yep, it's quite a while ago. It's recent events. I struggled to find a wheelchair that meets my needs. And that means I'm in South Africa, as you heard, roads, ladies, we need to move around in so we need wheelchairs that accommodate us in South Africa. And that's how those stories started. I built a wheelchair for myself, negotiate wheelchair, and so company was on that to cater for people who wants to still have adventures, still go fishing, still enjoy the outdoors, but also live in rural areas. I felt that is important.
There was an important weakness in the system, isn't it? A gap that had been there, I suppose, for a long time in the design of wheelchairs, that they didn't cater for different terrains.
You're so right about that. If you look at the traditional wheelchair, these wheels are so thin, they get stuck everywhere. Need people to push around monkey or need something that is African, rural, rugged, that you can take from the out there rather than finding something that you that's the reason.
So tell me a bit more then about the wheelchairs that you started getting into. You're saying that you built it for yourself. What then happened? I imagine that you then plugged into broader conversations and realized that you were not the only person who had this particular need for all-terrain powered wheelchairs. What then happened?
That's correct. I actually went into the market and saw how many people are living in rural areas that need this type of wheelchairs, how many people are in urban areas. And I can tell you the urban areas are covered, but the rural areas are so many needed. And with our design, the ruggedness, strength, and help of the SME, we are able now to design and build that can reach places our normal runners know this is solve just fine.
And you haven't stopped innovating around these solutions to help people with disabilities, have you, Martin? Talk to me about what areas interest you now around voice activated systems and how those can enhance the quality of life of people with disabilities.
So we should never stop innovating and how voice activation is a combination of AI things at I run my whole, as you said, the option I'm paralyzed in this. So I can run my computer just by voice. And using a voice and AI, so many things. My own accounting, designing websites, designing the gym itself, programming the controllers. We're moving so fast in this project that you are not in technology, but you are really behind. And a vital support to people.
So we had a conversation a few days ago, and it just almost started organically with some of our callers weighing in about perhaps the policy enablers, governance enablers for the enhancement of the quality of life for people with disabilities, but more importantly, around economic opportunities. What is your sense? Do we have enough policy enablers as well as the political will to implement these policies that we're told we have in the country that open up pathways to employability and economic opportunity for people with disabilities?
Absolutely not. We do not. Do not have an infrastructure. People look over us. Just because we're sitting in a wheelchair doesn't mean you can look over us. Buildings are not accessible to people. So, we can work in a normal working environment, but just that transport. I've been to Cape Town quite a few times, and I must say, I think I drive us. Take wherever I want to. I drive to my story. I am independent. We haven't got the infrastructure up here. We haven't got the infrastructure. Most of our cities. We really need to concentrate on. Really need to open the market. Since COVID, working from home, you know how many disabled people from home? Every has opened up the market so people can be valuable to society. Work as easy as that.
All right, Martin, thank you for sharing some of your story with us this morning. Martin Brown, entrepreneur and speaker. Do look him up in terms of the work that he has done, in terms of revolutionizing the all-terrain powered wheelchairs and building a business based on, that adversity that he has had to face, being someone with a disability.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Well, if you're trying to make your way around Joburg, we're here to help you. Let's start with the big ones. The Michael 1 coming from Boyson through the Crown up towards Car Street. It's a big backlog of traffic. There are also some roadworks going on around the Crown, so it's likely that what you're sitting in this morning will stay fairly busy for most of today. It only really sort of eases up through there around about mid-afternoon as you sort of find that the northbound volumes decrease and it all flicks over to southbound. But that northbound run through the Crown off the Mike 1 staying busy. N3 jam-packed up into Buccleuch, delays from Marlborough Drive. The N1 heading north to Midrand, just queuing between Buccleuch and Allendale. Looks like something's happened around the Allendale Road exit. The M1 south, if you're coming out of Pretoria, you will still see some traffic between Samran and the New Road exit. Crossing to Durban, breakdown, a couple of breakdowns. In fact, one on the N3 inbound at Spaghetti Junction. That, in fact, has been cleared. And also the breakdown on the N2 north at Queen Nandi. That is out of the way as well. The stationary truck at New England Road coming out of Pietermaritzburg, that has been cleared as well, so that's good news. But it's all been replaced by a breakdown that's just happened between Key Ridge and Cliffdale, so a bit of a backlog building towards Pietermaritzburg. That's certainly one to watch. Cape Town, crash scene, N7 south going down towards Bosmansdam Road. Quite a heavy queue coming in from Plattercliff Road in towards that sea, and the N1 into town stays busy with the queuing pressure from Plattercliff Hill, really, all the way through towards the city centre. The rest of the highways are looking fairly busy for a Tuesday morning's run into town. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
All right, let me go to more of your voice notes now. Let me see a lot of you, security on our minds. In fact, there's a message that I wanted to read before going to the voice notes. It just came in now, if I can open it. All right, Anonymous says, Good morning, Thulasizwe. One of the major elephants in the room in South Africa is the need to enforce a good work ethic. No amount of policies, programs will ever work properly as long as people don't do their work properly. There are people who are employed to cut the long grass and sweep streets. Do they do their work? That is the question. Why do adults have to be begged to do work they are paid for? We can criticize government, but what about some of us citizens? Do we do our best in our jobs? Says Anonymous there. I completely agree, Anonymous, except, of course, the expectation is that when I get that job to cut the grass, I should enter into a system where I know that there's no room to not do my work. But where, it's laissez-faire, anything goes really, you know that there'll be no consequences and people will find ways of cutting corners. So it's about the efficiency of managing the entirety of the system. I should know that I'm joining a culture where we actually do our work. While you are there at work, there's no room for me to, I don't know, to be doing whatever it is that I do instead of doing my work. So the two go together. The work ethic, 100%, can't quibble with that. But then also you need that monitoring that ensures that, we have standards, people. We just have standards.
Good morning, Chulas. Good morning to SFM listeners. Chulas, reflecting to the scaling of securities while there's visitors that are coming in South Africa. Yeah, it's a good thing so that those visitors can be protected. How about the residents and the community or the inhabitants of South Africa? What's happening when these visitors go away? Are we going to see those vehicles within the freeways? Are we going to see those vehicles in the robots? No, we are not. The cleaning up of Joburg City, it's now. But then I'm telling you, after G20, I'm saying by festive season, you will see how filthy it will be in Joburg because of those visitors will be gone. Mark my words, my brother. Joe in Soweto.
And just to add to that point, there's a message from Matari, if I can open it. Matari in Gauteng says, shame that we do our all to please strangers than we do to care for ourselves. And then going on to say, let littering be punishable by law as well as non-delivery of services. Matari in Gauteng makes that point about letting ourselves down, really, as a society after the visitors have come and gone. Let me take this one also on issues of service delivery.
Tulas, following on what Temba is saying, it's not only about policing.
Yeah, I
You
think we
drive
played,
all over
apologies for
this.
that. I think we played that one a bit earlier on. Let me take this one.
Thulasizwe, it's Johnny Mahala from Gabaka. I'm just thinking, as a nation, there are some countries who only shine their shoes when their mother-in-law is coming to visit. And we, unfortunately, are just that kind of nation.
Mm.
When Big Brother is coming over, then we tidy the room.
Mm.
It doesn't make us look good.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Why do we do that? And can we hold the likes of the Joburg mayor, Dada Morero, to this standard after the G20? Can we now have a pact that says, a compact that says, social compact, a compact that says, beyond this, we will not allow you to return to a default where the inner city of Joburg is, dilapidated and allowed to go to waste, to become a wasteland of grime and grease and just dirt. I wonder.
Julius, good morning. Julius, I totally agree with that gentleman from start to arm, and I totally agree with you. Great show as always. Yeah, it's an absolute mess. Everything's a mess. And look, the reality is any government in this situation very rarely changes itself. We must always remember that. The only thing that changes it is a change of government. So can the government of national unity pull through? Will the ANC losing a large percentage of its vote coming up soon next year. Will that make a difference? And yeah, can our new leaders maybe steer us through this crisis? Let's all hope so for all of our sakes. We're all in it together. Brad Marisburg.
Brad, thank you for that. And importantly, will we reward mediocrity at the polls? Let's not forget that ultimate accountability is in our hands, people. It really is in our hands, ultimately. Kingston and Kimberly, let me end off with you. Good morning.
Good morning, Thulas.
Good morning. Please go ahead. Yes.
Mr. Thulas, I just wanted to ask the same the very point in Malema and then about the operation takes
Yes.
in town. Here in Kimberley, we have the very same situation in Kimberley, and it's been going on for us. No, I'm in Pentago as we speak, and we've tried to talk to law enforcement, police enforcement. It's like it's daily, it's normal. They even went to the extent that these legal operators to go into our taxi rank and load illegally load what's our taxi rank. What low, what drunk drivers, no driver's licenses, no operating licenses. What I'm saying, like now in Kimberley, even if those are public levels in Kimberley, there are guys operating on 7 secret taxis, cars. They are operating on our long distance route. Legally towards no operating licenses. You stand there waiting for a load to load. And then a guy goes to Taung and he comes back and goes to Taung 4 times a day. You are waiting for one load.
Yeah.
What's a car that you must pay? A family that you must feed. And you are a legal operator. If you approach those guys, there's going to be a fight. Because we did that and we end up fighting and there were shootings. And we stopped it and now we're asking law enforcement.
Yeah.
Even through SAFM, can't we be helped? Just like the gentleman who called in and said, please do something because we've tried. We've spoken to the police, we've spoken to the traffic officers, nothing is happening.
All right,
These guys
Kingston.
are operating legally, normally.
Kingston, thank you for that. I suppose there's a conversation there to be had because while we lament lawlessness in pockets of the taxi industry, we must also at the same time be concerned about a proliferation of unlicensed people. You are carrying people's lives. Therefore, you need to be held to certain standards and have consequences when you don't abide by those standards. When you're not registered, you're not permitted in any way, it really does raise issues around the ability to enforce standards. That's it. We have to leave it there, completely out of time. Thank you for listening and thank you for engaging as always. The Talking Point with Kete Mutlatlana is up next. She's standing by and all ready to take it over. I'm Thulasizwe Simelane. You've been briefed.
In our top stories, judges' matter weighs in on Batoy testifying at the Nkabinde inquiry and Mashatile to address the opening of the G20 Social Summit. Good morning. The judicial watchdog Judges Matters says National Director of Public Prosecutions Shamila Batoy's evidence before the Nkabinde inquiry in Pretoria today is crucial. She will be the first witness to testify before the inquiry, looking into Gauteng Director of Public Prosecution Andrew Chauke's fitness to hold office. Ramaphosa suspended him in July for alleged misconduct. Chauke, who's accused of receiving bribes, appears in recordings linked to the embattled Posasa company. The judicial watchdog's Begizeli Benjamin.
The National Director of Public Prosecution gives the crucial evidence on the allegations against Chauke. As the National Director, all the directors of public prosecution report directly to her. So she would have had insight into these allegations, especially those related to General to General Richard. And so she's also the one who initiated the so she is a crucial witness.
Deputy President Paul Mashatile will officially open the three-day G20 Social Summit in Boksburg, east of Johannesburg, later today. It's a precursor of the two-day Leaders Summit starting on Friday. The Social Summit will bring together civil society voices that will contribute to the G20 decision-making process. Debo Mukobo has more.
The social summit concept started in Brazil last year
And building on the idea of entrenching civil society input into the G20, South Africa wants to ensure that the summit elevates issues of social development, equity and inclusion to the same level of financial concerns. The three-day meeting brings together representatives from governments, civil society, labor, youth, women and persons with disabilities, among others. Almost 5,000 delegates are expected to attend, with at least 11 thematic areas up for discussion. Both President Cyril Ramaphosa and his Brazilian counterpart Lula da Silva will feature on the last day.
City of Johannesburg senior officials, including Mayor Dada Morero, will this morning provide an update on progress made in the verification of informal traders operating with the city. This is part of a recent order of the High Court in Johannesburg for the city to speed up the verification, registration and allocation of trading spaces for informal traders previously removed from the CBD. The city has until the end of today to complete the process. Calvin Mabasa reports.
Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero is expected to brief on the outcomes of the verification process, the next step for issuing trading permits to qualifying traders, and the measures the city is implementing to ensure full compliance with the court ruling, municipal bylaws, and the informal trading policy.
And finally, Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro says he's ready for discussions after President Donald Trump said the U.S. may be open to talks to defuse a tense standoff. Washington has been ramping up pressure on the socialist leader with a military buildup in the southern Caribbean and the repeated targeting of small boats accused of smuggling drugs. On his weekly TV program, Maduro said free countries should engage through diplomacy.
So this country is at peace. This country will continue to be at peace. And in the United States, anyone who wants to talk to Venezuela will talk face to face without any problem.
Recapping the top story, the judicial watchdog Judges Matters says the National Director of Public Prosecutions, Shamila Batue's evidence before the Nkabine inquiry in Pretoria today is crucial. She will be the first witness to testify before the inquiry, looking into Gauteng Director of Public Prosecutions Andrew Chauke's fitness to hold office. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
At school I was falling behind. They thought I wasn't trying, bruh. Truth is, I couldn't see well, and I felt as small as the words on the board. And then, teacher came to sit with me and realized I needed glasses. Bruh, now everything's changed.
Take time to listen. With enough love and support, children don't just catch up, they thrive.
Visit holdmyhand.org.za.
Together, we can change their future.
Lesotho does not mind visitors, provided 3 points remain in KZN. However, Simelane refused to travel to Durban as tourists. They want nothing but victory.
This is the Midweek Premiership.
Forever! AmaZulu FC versus Simelane FC on Saturday, 22 November at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Then on SABC radio stations at 3:30 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
This November, SFM proudly presents the third annual lecture.
I do want to say that in the public service, there are also checks and balances. The fact that people may not have applied doesn't mean it's not there.
SFM invites you to our third annual public lecture, delivered by Chancellor of the Nelson Mandela University, Dr. Geraldine Fraser Muleketi. The theme of the lecture is confronting inequality, corruption and unemployment.
Let's hold everyone accountable and to standards, whether you have a GNU or not.
The lecture will take place on the 27th of November 2025 at the Indaba Hotel, Spa and Conference Center in Fourways, Johannesburg. Secure your seat by emailing us at rsvp@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Introducing South Africa's most affordable way to get hearing aids. At Specsavers Audiology, you can now get a pair of hearing aids from as little as 599 Rand per month. Hearing clearly shouldn't be a luxury.
Enjoy life's moments from 599 Rand per month. Test your hearing today and join the conversation with Specsavers Audiology. T's and C's apply.
Streaming Scheme Sum on the way to class.
Catching the Premier League while waiting for your order.
Jamming to Metro FM before you even get out of bed.
On SABC Plus, sinayo yonke into ifunayo. Your shows, your music, your way, anytime, anywhere. Zero subscription fees.
On your phone, tablet, or smart TV.
Download SABC Plus on iOS or Google Play Store.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an actors-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Congratulations to the lucky Powerball Plus jackpot winner who won over 6 million rand on Friday after playing at a retailer in Lone Hill, Gauteng. Play Powerball and Powerball Plus for 44 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday, and you could win big. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120*7529# for USSD. Hand up, push up, play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
The Talking Point with Kathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
The same principle applies to flying business class with university money, having bodyguards, a chef, and many other things. I'm sure you know I rejected all of them. I refused to have a driver, to have a bodyguard, even to fly business class. People who reported to me were not so impressed because if I don't fly business class, how can they? But I don't need business class to feel important or to show that I'm important. I'm important and I know I'm fabulous. Business class is not going to add anything. Imagine going to the US, 169,000 rands on business class to New York. And it's more than fees for 1 year with rest for one student. Imagine. I mean, how many times do I go to the US? How many students could I cover for the demo year? So I said, no, we would go to a meeting somewhere on the continent, all the vice chancellors of this country, and they all fly business class. And so they all come with chauffeurs and E-classes and their drivers, right? I would ask for a lift from them. And we get into the flight, and the air hostesses say, they all stop at business, and I go to economy. But nobody wants to hear anything from them. Everybody wants to know what I am thinking. And that's more important than being seen to be important.
Sure, and sometimes actions really do speak louder than words, right? And as she said, she's fabulous and she knows it. And doesn't just the rest of the world. That is the former UCT Vice Chancellor, Professor Mamokgethi Phakeng, starting us off on the talking point this morning. A very good morning to all of you coming out of chilly Johannesburg. I wonder what the temperature on your side of the world is. The cold front seems to have gripped most of the country, though, so I think we're all having to pull out our jerseys, right? It hasn't been that long since we evaded winter, but it's sort of saying not so quick. I feel for all of the visitors that we're going to be having. They're probably expecting to come to sunny Africa and enjoy the African sun. Yeah, might not necessarily be the case, unless, of course, the weather changes up in the next couple of days. Although I did check, and it looks like we're going to have rain right through until the early parts of the weekend. It's 13 after 9 o'clock. A very warm welcome to you. You're listening to The Talking Point. My name is Kathy Mutlatlana, and as always, I'll be with you until midday as we lead conversations that move us. Today is going to be a big day. A big day, why? Because when we take you to the Madanga Commission of Inquiry, we are expecting to hear from the notorious Brown Mokgotsi, the middleman, the minister's advisor in inverted commas, right? I choose my words carefully when I say that because that's how he had positioned himself. But he really is one of the critical players here in as far as identifying the extent to which there may have been interference with the way in which police investigations were being run. Mr. Mokgotsi being somebody who would have been a middleman, as he says, for the minister Senzo Mchunu, but he seemed to have been in a lot of people's ear, including the Deputy National Commissioner, Shadrack Sibia, who he met for breakfast, but as you can recall, ended up not paying for his breakfast because he wanted Sibia to pay. In fact, Brown Mokgotsi wants everybody to pay for his breakfast. So today before the commission, we'll hear his official statement and perhaps he'll give us insight into the kind of relationships he enjoyed with these individuals. Both the minister and the DNC have said that they know Mokgotsi, but certainly would not call him a friend. I wonder if he is going to have the same view of that relationship. So 9:30, we'll take you live to the Madanga Commission. We'll take you live to the Madanga Commission of Inquiry as it continues its work. The ad hoc committee in Parliament is also going to be resuming its hearings today, and Professor Mary de Haas will be the witness giving evidence. And she, of course, has long maintained that the political killings task team had gone rogue and that it needed to be disbanded, that they had now become a slush fund of sort to fund the lifestyles of the men and women in blue, at least those that were part of the circle within KZN. So she'll have to explain her views before the portfolio committee this morning. So what we will do is that we'll play it by ear because I know that both these testimonies are really important in helping us paint the picture of what we are dealing with in as far as it relates to these allegations of corruption, of interference, of why it is that we do not see people in high profile positions get arrested, go behind bars. Is it because they have been enjoying this political protection and privilege? That's part of what the work of both these committees and commissions is doing. The G20 now really getting into full swing. I'm hoping that tomorrow we'll be able to speak to Lerato Tsebe because you remember she's been bringing us the build up to this G20 summit. And we're starting it off with the social summit that is taking place this week. It's a 3-day summit. You can expect to have us broadcast from the social summit on Thursday. We'll be there we'll be there tomorrow, Level. Okay, Level says we'll be there tomorrow. It's taking place on the East Rand. And yeah, quite a lot of social partners coming on board from across the world. You know, I was at the accreditation center yesterday, and you're really having a diverse mix of people from not only the continent, but the rest of the world, all here because of this G20 summit. So we'll bring you the developments that are coming out of there. In a moment, of course, it will be your national roundtable, the open line, at least what we can squeeze in of an open line. I'll be getting ready to take your calls. Remember, you're more than welcome to raise any issue on the national agenda. The number to dial 086 000 2032. That's the number 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line 0614 104 107. And perhaps maybe to spend a minute or so, shall we say, blowing our own horn. Before I get to the talking point team, let me acknowledge our colleagues, the Jet Set Breakfast with Michelle Constant. They've been nominated for a radio award this year. As well as the morning brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. He's up for the best breakfast show and the best breakfast show host in terms of the nominations. But this one is really just a shout out to my team, right? Because, I mean, I shout at them on air sometimes, and they still have to act like they still have to act like they like me when we're done with the show. They have to not take it to heart. Especially when I feel like, oh no, you didn't treat this listener right. Um, but there's so much work that goes into putting the show together, and it genuinely would not be what it is without the contribution of our producers. And I really want to take time this morning to acknowledge Kanya and Levo. You guys work so hard and you do so much, and I am always on your necks. Somebody calls in and they don't have water. Guess who I'm really pressing Lewo and Kanya? Did we get in touch with the water department? Did we call the municipality? What did they say? When is this person going to have water? Put them on air. We need answers now. And they just sort of let me go with it. And I really appreciate it. And I know that the rest of the SAFM community appreciates it too. And we're so privileged because this year we've been nominated in 3 categories for the radio awards, in the best talk show category, in the best daytime show category, and also in the best news and current affairs category. And all of that is due to the hard work of the producers, but I think also for you as our listeners that have supported us over the years. When I took over the slot, we didn't know that we would be going so deep into COVID. It was just as COVID was coming in. We didn't know the journey that we would walk together. And you've given me a reason really to wake up every single morning and come and be part of you. Even on the days when I can't be on air, my team knows that I'm like, I'm going to miss my listeners. That's why I want these commissions to end so that we can bring back the full open line because I love to hear from you. So I just wanted to acknowledge the team and congratulations, guys, for the hard work that you put into the show. So on that note, then we are going to take a quick break, and then I am going to be back with some of your calls before we take you to the Commission of Inquiry, the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry at 9:30. Yeah, Kanya, you were late with the trumpet, my girl. The trumpet was supposed to play a while ago. Can't be trusted with the trumpet. Too late. Let's take a break. I'm back with your calls.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
From the first bullet fired to the last betrayal uncovered, the battle for the Dutton legacy has left blood on the land and scars on every soul. We've seen loyalty tested, families torn apart, and enemies made in the name of power, pride, and survival. Now, as the dust settles and new threads rise, the question remains, how far will the Duttons go to protect their empire? Yellowstone, Season 5, the fight isn't over, it's just begun. Starts Tuesday, 18th November at 7 p.m., only on S3.
So you thought you were building a business in this economy, but day by day, somehow it grew. You kept going when the freezer didn't freeze, the bucket didn't budge, and the bank balance barely blinked. So you thought you were building a business. You weren't. It was building you. Because this isn't just what you do anymore. It's who you are. And you don't trust just anybody to protect it. Chat to your broker about Old Mutual Insure Business Insurance. Protect what built you. Old Mutual Insure Limited is a licensed FSP and non-life insurer.
SAFM commemorates Disability Rights Awareness Month under the theme Celebrating 30 Years of Democracy, Creating Strategic Multi-Sectoral Partnerships for a Disability Inclusive Society. SAFM supports and works tirelessly towards equity and equality for those with disabilities. Empowerment is key. Let us break the barriers and improve the quality of life for those with disabilities. Our efforts towards a better life for those with disabilities can only be impactful when we do so together. We do not tolerate any kind of discrimination. Disability Awareness Month 2025 on SAFM 104 to 107 FM nationwide, leading the conversations that move us.
Afternoon Express is proud to be nominated in multiple categories at the 3rd Annual National Film and TV Awards taking place on Saturday, the 22nd of November. And you can add your voice by voting. Visit nationalfilmacademy.com, register and vote for Afternoon Express in the Best Entertainment Show category, Palisa Tembe for Best TV Presenter, and myself, Ayanda Jitabete, for Best Female TV Personality and Celebrity Personality of the Year. Voting closes on the 20th of November at midday.
It's Black November at MTN. A whole month of great deals. Get a 100 gig MTN mobile internet Ruby plan, now just $319 per month for 12 months. And for just 20 Rand extra per month, add a 4G pocket router and connect up to 10 devices. Plus get a free 10 gig startup bundle, redeemable on the MTN app. So don't miss out. Visit an MTN store or mtn.co.za now. T's and C's apply. Today, we make moves. MTN.
Reigning champions, the Reds, believe a win at Anfield always brings great euphoria to their fanatics.
He find the cross. He's down to Ekatike, and Kirkes has given Liverpool a lifeline. His first Liverpool goal, and it could be vital just before the break.
While the Trick and Trees are searching for a top-of-the-range strategy to defeat the Reds.
Driven in by Nico Williams. Well, it may have taken Liverpool 95 minutes to break Burnley down.
This is the Premier League. Witness the thrilling contest between Liverpool FC versus Nottingham Forest on Saturday, 22 November at 4:30 p.m. Live on SABC Plus and SABC3. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
The Talking Point with Kathy Motlatlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
All right, so let's get into then the open line. Lowered, you're calling us from Alberton. Good morning.
Yes, Kathy, good morning. How are you?
Lowered, I'm good. Let's go for it.
No, thanks. Thank you so much. Now, let me present the comment by or say that okay. This morning, Kathy, when I talk about the G20 aftermath of the G20, even where I'm sitting, that's whether it reflects the host institution event like this and in the presidential intervention for cities Johannesburg in the life to do the right thing. I think it is actually unfaithful. And currently, it's
Sorry, what is uncalled for, Lowered? What has the city of Johannesburg done wrong?
They left the seat to decay until we approach the G20, until the president